Chapter 50. Bang! The blackwater monster lizard that was charging towards Xia Qing fell heavily to the ground. The sudden attack of the demon Punisher spear directly pierced through its head. The tip of the spear was dazzling. The appearance of this scene caused Xia Qing's delicate body to tremble. She hurriedly turned around and a handsome face with a warm smile suddenly appeared in front of her. You? Kaboom! Xia Qing's heart immediately surged with a monstrous wave of uneasiness, her beautiful face surging with thick disbelief. You, what happened to me? Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows slightly raised as he smiled with interest. You're still alive? Xia Qing couldn't believe it. Why, could it be that you wish for me to die? Chu Hen joked. Xia Qing shook her head blankly. This was too unbelievable. The blood essence of the bloodhunter razorback dragon and the spiritual source of the ice moon demon wolf, any one of these two things, was enough to take Chu Hen's life. Not to mention that both of them had entered his body at the same time. Logically speaking, Chu Hen definitely had no chance of survival. But Chu Hen was really standing in front of Xia Qing. Not only that, Xia Qing then discovered that Chu Hen's cultivation had actually advanced from the channel opening stage to the elemental opening stage. Moreover, he seemed to have reached the second stage. What exactly happened? Xia Qing frowned. She couldn't see through this young man in front of her. Chu Hen shrugged and said casually, I'm not too sure either. It's probably that the bloodhunter razorback dragon and the ice moon demon wolf cancelled each other out. This sentence could be used to deceive others. But Xia Qing wouldn't believe Chu Hen's nonsense. She had never heard of two types of Beast King's blood essence cancelling each other out. But if one were to really ask what the actual situation was, Chu Hen himself would not be able to give an answer. Chu Hen walked to the corpse of the blackwater monster lizard and casually pulled out the demon Punisher spear. He then turned to Xia Qing and said, Have you gotten rid of the ice chi in your body? Xia Qing didn't answer. She just looked at him strangely. What now? Is there a flower growing on my face? Chu Hen asked. You haven't answered my question yet. Why are you fine? Furthermore, even my cultivation has increased. Chu Hen did not want to answer this question, but seeing the confusion in her eyes, he raised his eyebrows and said, I can tell you, but you have to keep it a secret for me. All right. Xia Qing's eyes lit up. It's because of the boundary of my bloodline. My bloodline boundary is rather special. With regards to this answer, Xia Qing could guess a little. She then asked, What kind of bloodline limit? Chu Hen shook his head and answered without hesitation, I don't even know myself. You don't know what your bloodline is? Xia Qing couldn't help but be startled. Seeing that Chu Hen didn't seem to be lying, she could only nod. All right. I haven't heard of any bloodline limit that can absorb the power of Demon Beast's blood essence. Your bloodline limit is rather mysterious. It should be at the level of a profound body. I hope so. Chu Hen smiled and didn't explain too much. Xia Qing's expression softened a little. She muttered to herself, Fortunately, I didn't kill you with a single sword strike to relieve your pain. What? No, nothing. Xia Qing smiled faintly. Her beautiful smile was light and moving. It's about time for us to go. HM? Do you know where the exit is? Just now I discovered that the bottom of this stone platform is hollow. Chu Hen walked up the stone platform and glanced at the area where the scattered bones of the blood-hunting razorback dragon were. He continued, So I think the exit is below. Hearing this, Xia Qing stood up. Let me try. Buzz buzz, Xia Qing's voice had just sounded when a cluster of powerful true yuan energy agglomerated in her palm. Immediately, she gently lifted her wrist. A cluster of solidified white light flew out from her fingertip and struck the middle of the stage. Bang! Accompanied by a heavy explosion, the ground trembled, and a 2 to 3 meter wide hole was blasted out of the stone platform. Under the pleasantly surprised gazes of Chu Hen and Xia Qing, a black passageway appeared on the ground. It really is a passageway. Chu Hen smiled and said, "Let's go." Yes. About half an hour later. At the lakeside where he fought with the ice moon demonic wolf yesterday, the azure sky, the fresh air, and the brightly colored flowers and grass gave Chu Hen a carefree and relaxed feeling of having survived a calamity. Finally leaving that damn place. Seeing Chu Hen's slightly excited look, Xia Qing's face revealed a somewhat relaxed smile. "Where are you going? The capital?" Xia Qing asked. "Yes. What about you?" "Me too. It's on the way, let's go together." Chu Hen naturally would not refuse a beautiful woman's request. However, at this moment, a fierce figure suddenly appeared on the top of a mountain not far away. Chu Hen's heart was startled. Even though he was 100 meters away, he could clearly feel the cold and solemn aura that originated from an expert. There were about 20 people, dressed in light clothes, and most of them wore masks. Everyone was watching from afar. Chu Hen seemed to be able to feel the cold and sharp gazes of the people behind the mask. Experts, they were definitely experts. Chu Hen could not help but frown, and his eyebrows were full of seriousness. "Don't be nervous, they're here for me," Xia Qing said softly. Chu Hen's face revealed a confused expression. "I'm really sorry." Xia Qing smiled apologetically. "I can't go back to the capital with you." Chu Hen clenched his fists and nodded. "It's okay. See you again." "See you." After a few simple words of farewell, Xia Qing walked towards the crowd in front. The leader, who wore a silver mask, came forward and knelt on one knee, looking very respectful. Xia Qing seemed to be talking with him, but because of the distance, Chu Hen could not hear clearly. Then, Xia Qing looked back at Chu Hen, and then left with the crowd. Chu Hen looked at Xia Qing, who was gradually disappearing from his sight, and the masked crowd, with a hint of caution in his eyes. Under the calm appearance there was actually a lot of turmoil. From the beginning, Chu Hen knew that Xia Qing had an extremely unusual identity, and now it seemed that he was even more certain of that idea. "See you again," Chu Hen mumbled to himself. About an hour later, Chu Hen successfully embarked on his journey back to the periphery of the Boneless Mountain Range. Along the way, he would encounter attacks from demonic beasts from time to time, so Chu Hen decided to collect demonic beast crystal cores on the way back. Chu Hen carried the demon Punisher spear on his back, and moved forward by leaping and running. His speed was agile and nimble. Chu Hen's feet almost never touched the ground, and he basically leaped from one tree to another. In the process of hunting demonic beasts, the demon Punisher spear became more and more proficient. Compared to the Shadow Spear, the demon Punisher spear was many levels higher. After all, it was a weapon left behind by Fong Bufan, so how could it be ordinary? The outcome of this trip to the Boneless Mountain Range was beyond Chu Hen's expectations. Initially, he had only come for the Yuan crystal stones, and he thought that the blood crystal lotus would be the most unexpected reward. He never thought that he would encounter Xia Qing and accidentally obtain Fong Bufan's famous technique, the Demon Punisher Spear, as well as his weapon. What made Chu Hen even happier was the increase in his cultivation. He had directly gone from the channel opening stage to the second stage of the element opening stage, and he was at the peak of the second stage. He was only a step away from the third stage. Chu Hen could not help but be secretly shocked by the wonders of the bloodline boundary of the chaotic body once again. He never thought that it could even suppress the essence blood and origin energy of a beast king, and extract the energy from them to fuse into his body. Chu Hen became more and more eager to see the true appearance of the chaotic body. Just what kind of bloodline boundary was this? "The one in front, please stop and don't move." Suddenly, a cold yet familiar voice rang out from behind Chu Hen. Chu Hen looked to the side and saw 3 young figures chasing after him. There were 2 men and 1 woman, and they were all 17 or 18 years old. "It's them." Chu Hen was slightly surprised. These 3 people were none other than the 3 people who had appeared when the bandits were searching for the Blood Rose Crystal Lotus. Because of the appearance of these three people, Chu Hen first acted as the aureole and snatched the blood crystal lotus. After stealing the blood rose crystal lotus, he used the cicada shedding carapace to escape from their pursuit. He never thought that he would meet them again today. Stop! Shangzhe, who was dressed in green, shouted. Hearing the two words that sounded like an order, a disdainful smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. He directly ignored them and sped up in the forest. Seeing Chu Hen like this, the three people behind couldn't help but look at each other, then quickly increased their chasing speed. Lin Hai, flank him from the left. Xinwen, take the right. Don't let him get away, Shangzhe said. Understood. Got it. Lin Hai and Xinwen split up, and the three of them spread out in an arc to chase after Chu Hen. I told you to stop, didn't you hear me? Shangzhe moved the fastest. At the same time, a sharp sword appeared in his hand. It was obvious that he was ready to attack Chu Hen at any time. You three, I have no grievances with you. Why are you chasing me so relentlessly? Chu Hen said, but he did not slow down at all. Humph, you know very well, Xinwen said coldly. Please explain, I don't know anything. You still dare to play dumb? Hand over the blood rose crystal lotus. Chapter 51. You still dare to play dumb? Hand over the blood rose crystal lotus. The three of them chased after him relentlessly and directly stated their purpose. Chu Hen pretended to be surprised and replied with a puzzled tone, Blood rose crystal lotus? How could I have such a good thing? Don't slander a good person for no reason. Since you don't have the blood rose crystal lotus, why are you running? Only those with ulterior motives would run. The only woman, Xinwen, said coldly. Nonsense, there are so many bandits in this forest. The three of you suddenly asked me to stop, I'm scared. If I don't run, I'll be in trouble. Although Chu Hen said he was scared, there was no trace of fear on his face at all. Shangzhe, Lin Hai, and Xinwen were annoyed and angry. Lin Hai, who approached from the left, narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, You killed that bald bandit, right? What bald head? This daddy doesn't know. It's useless even if you quibble. That bald bandit was killed by a spear through his throat, and you killed by a spear through his throat. Chu Hen frowned slightly. It seemed like the reason they suspected him was because of the demon Punisher's spear on his back. The three of them were indeed not ordinary people. They actually had such keen tracking abilities. Just based on this, you guys are too presumptuous. There are plenty of people who use spears in this world. On what basis do you guys suspect that I did it? Unfortunately, you're the only one who used a spear in the vicinity. Shangzhe laughed coldly. He could more or less confirm that Chu Hen was the aureole that appeared out of nowhere. What they needed to do next was to take back what Chu Hen had stolen. Xiao. Shangzhe's movement speed became faster and faster. A wave of sword aura was continuously released from his body. The incomparably sharp sword in his hand flickered with a dazzling radiance. You can't escape. The distance between the two sides was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, there was less than 30 meters between the three of them and Chu Hen. Facing the aggressive enemies, Chu Hen's expression was calm, and his eyes were filled with indifference. If you had obediently handed over the blood crystal lotus, we might have let you live. I'm sorry to tell you that you've already lost the chance to be safe and sound. Shangzhe spat out a threatening and cold tone. Thick vital energy quickly climbed up the sword. There was a trembling buzzing sound in the air. You really scared me to death. Since you think you're infallible, I'll teach you what loosening the reins only to grasp them better, and taking advantage of their unpreparedness means. A naughty smile abruptly rose from the corner of Chu Hen's mouth. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly stopped moving forward, then turned around and charged towards Shangzhe. What? The three of them were caught off guard by Chu Hen's sudden action. Especially Shangzhe. The distance between him and Chu Hen had shrunk to within a few meters in an instant. Before Shang Zhe could even launch an attack, a peerlessly powerful cold spear immediately tore through the air and surged towards his opponent. Buzz, the surging vital energy quickly spread to the body of the spear. The demon Punisher's spear swallowed and spat out a dazzling golden light. The unstoppable momentum was like a venomous snake that had come out of its hole in an instant. The shocking aura was filled with destructive, killing intent. Shang Zhe's expression changed drastically. His contracted pupils reflected the cold light of the spear. A sense of danger assaulted his heart. In a hurry, Shang Zhe could only hold the sword horizontally in front of his chest and use the sword as a shield to forcefully block the opponent's attack. Boom! Shang Zhe and Chu Hen collided in midair. The tip of the demon Punisher's spear firmly touched the center of the treasured sword's body. The violent impact was comparable to a flood that broke through a dam. Shang Zhe felt his entire arm go numb. The treasured sword that was flickering with resplendent radiance immediately became dim and lightless. Ding! Along with a crisp sound, a string of sparks splashed in the air. The sword in Shang Zhe's hand responded and broke. Shang Zhe! Shang Zhe! On the other side, Lin Hai and Xinwen were both shocked. Their eyes were wide open and their faces were full of shock. This was the first time someone was able to break Shang Zhe's sword. Moreover, it was only a single move. Boom, boom. The moment the sword broke, a circle of raging vital energy vibrated in front of Shang Zhe. The incomparably tyrannical impact was like a giant rock. Shang Zhe's body suddenly trembled. The clothes in front of his body were instantly shattered. At the same time, he flew backwards and a large mouthful of blood gushed out of his mouth. Shang Zhe, looking at Shang Zhe who had crashed heavily onto the ground and could not get up, Xinwen was shocked and angry. Without saying anything, she raised her sword and rushed towards Chu Hen. "I'm going to kill you. With just a little girl like you." The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled into a playful smile. In an instant, a turbulent vital energy immediately erupted from his body. An endless amount of golden light quickly gathered towards his left hand. The clearly visible vital energy rapidly rotated in his palm like a spiral wave. Xinwen, dodge! Lin Hai, who did not have time to help, shouted in a stern voice. However, Lin Hai's warning was still a step too late. Great waterfall mountain-destroying palm! Boom! The powerful and vigorous palm energy suddenly rushed towards Xinwen, and the incomparably furious Zhen Yuan power turned into a thick shock wave. The dead leaves on the ground, as well as the gravel, were swept away by the autumn wind, and were instantly flattened. Even a thick layer of soil on the surface of the ground was blown away. The wind raged and sand and dust flew everywhere. This great waterfall mountain-destroying palm was a combat skill of the elemental opening realm. Chu Hen, who had already reached the second level of the elemental opening realm, could display 100% of its destructive power. This power was many times stronger than before. After suffering from Chu Hen's powerful palm attack, Xinwen immediately let out a panicked cry. She was sent flying on the spot, and after Shang Zhe, she fell to the ground, unable to get up. "Bastard, you're courting death!" In the next instant, Lin Hai's palm attack followed. Chu Hen's eyes focused as a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Along with the chaotic airflow, a circle of demonic and dense black light quickly climbed up both of Chu Hen's arms. Chu Hen gripped the demon Punisher's spear with both hands and swung it horizontally to meet Lin Hai's attack head-on. Bang! Lin Hai's palm energy heavily hit the body of the demon Punisher's spear. A layer of chaotic air rippled outwards, and the ground beneath their feet was densely packed with cracks. In Lin Hai's expectations, even if this palm did not hit Chu Hen's body, it would still be enough to injure the latter. But in reality, this was not the case. Chu Hen stood in place, his legs rooted to the ground, unable to retreat an inch. "You!" Lin Hai's eyes widened in anger, and his tightly knitted brows were extremely sinister. On the other side, Shang Zhe and Xinwen, who were lying on the ground unable to get up, were even more shocked. They really did not expect that the Chu hen they had been chasing all this time would actually have such shocking strength. Roar! Before Lin Hai could change his attack again, a deep dragon roar rose from Chu hen's body. Lin Hai's pupils involuntarily shrank. In the next second, an illusory golden dragon shadow rushed out from Chu hen's arm. The dragon's shadow was about a meter long, and it looked like a demon spirit. It spun and danced, and fiercely hit Lin Hai's chest. Boom! The shocking impact caused the air to tremble endlessly, and halos of light blossomed like golden feathers. Lin Hai! As the other two cried out in panic, Lin Hai fell to the ground, and scarlet blood flowed continuously from his mouth. In an instant, the situation had unexpectedly changed. The main reason why the three of them were defeated was because they were too careless. From the beginning, Chu hen had been showing weakness to them. When he exploded with great strength, they did not even have the time to stabilize their footing. I told you to stop chasing me. Is this fun? Chu hen had a frivolous smile on his face. He took the lead and walked toward Shang Zhe and said disdainfully, "You were the most arrogant just now, and now you don't dare to speak? You!" Shang Zhe clenched his fists, and his teeth were tightly clenched, his expression fierce. "What? You still have something to say?" Chu hen stepped forward and kicked Shang Zhe's abdomen. Shang Zhe was directly kicked out, and he dragged several meters on the ground before he could stop. The intense pain made him drool. On the other side, Lin Hai's and Xinwen's expressions changed. "Stop!" Xinwen shouted coldly and said, "If you dare to touch us, you won't have a good ending." "Hee, what good ending?" Chu hen said coldly. My brother is Xin Yunxi of the Lingxi Martial House. If you dare to touch a finger of ours, just try and see." Xin Yunxi? Chu hen was stunned. He had never heard of him. Of course, this was not strange. He had only been in the capital for less than 2 months. How many people could he know? However, seeing Chu hen's expression, Xinwen thought that he was scared, and immediately sneered confidently and said, "You're afraid? If you know what's good for you, you will respectfully apologize to us, and then offer the blood crystal lotus with both hands. We can consider letting you live." "Hee, you really scared me to death. I'm so scared that I only have one thought now, and that is to kill the 3 of you, and then throw you into the demonic beast's nest. That way, don't care about big brother or second brother, even your parents won't recognize you. You!" Hearing Chu hen's words, the 3 of them instantly felt their hearts skip a beat, especially Xinwen, who was so scared that her face turned pale. She originally thought that she could scare Chu hen, but she did not expect it to backfire, and directly put the 3 of them in danger. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble in the future, Chu hen could easily kill them. After all, this was the Boneless Mountain Range, and there were many demonic beasts here. Who would know if they died in the mouths of the demonic beasts? Seeing the smile on Chu hen's face, the 3 of them only felt a chill in their hearts. Chapter 52. Shang Zhe, Lin Hai, and Xinwen could not help but feel a chill in their hearts when they saw the mocking smile on Chu hen's face. This was the Boneless Mountain Range, where there were many demonic beasts. Countless people died here every year. Even if Chu hen killed them all, no one would be able to investigate further. Xinwen was already regretting her own cleverness. As she thought about how she was going to die here, all kinds of fear surged in her mind. At the same time, her eyes were filled with tears, and they could not help but roll around. However, Chu hen could not help but find it funny when he saw her pitiful look. The 3 of them were merely paper tigers. They looked overbearing on the surface, but in reality, they were just inexperienced young men and women. Moreover, Chu hen did not have any deep grudges with the 3 of them, so it was not to the point where he had to kill them. "Forget it, I'm too kind. I'll let you guys go today, what?" As soon as he said that, the 3 of them looked at Chu hen in surprise. But before they had the time to be happy, Chu hen's voice paused, and he continued, however. "After being chased by you guys for so long, I have to ask for compensation, right? Hand over all of your storage rings. Hand over all their storage rings? Robbery. This was a naked robbery. Don't even think about it. Shang Zhe clenched his fists, and his brows were filled with anger. You can choose not to hand them over. Chu Hen sneered with a playful smile. Of course, I can also choose to take back my decision to let you guys go. I don't have the patience to talk nonsense with you guys. 3 storage rings in exchange for 3 lives. It's a good deal for you guys. The 3 of them looked at each other unwillingly. They had already stayed in the Boneless Mountain range for almost 2 months. They had collected countless spiritual materials and treasures, rare flowers and herbs, demonic beast cores. Now that they had to hand all of them over, it was like cutting off their flesh. However, at this stage, if they did not hand them over, Chu Hen might really take their lives. Treasures could be found again, but they only had 1 life. All right, I'll give it to you. The first to compromise was Lin Hai. He took off his storage ring unwillingly and threw it at Chu Hen. Chu Hen casually grabbed the ring in his palm, but he didn't check what was inside. He smiled faintly and said, "What about the 2 of you?" Xinwen bit her lips and immediately took off a bracelet from her wrist and threw it at Chu Hen's feet. Rings were not the only type of storage device. For example, bracelets, belts, necklaces, and so on. Some accessories that were usually worn on the body could be made into storage devices. Seeing that his 2 companions had lowered their heads and compromised, no matter how frivolous Shang Zhe was, he could not afford to be arrogant. He gritted his teeth, suppressed his anger, and handed the storage ring to Chu Hen. Haha, thank you for your gift. I'll take my leave first. Chu Hen generously put the 3 storage devices into his own storage ring, then turned around and left. Seeing Chu Hen's departing figure, the 3 of them heaved a sigh of relief, but at the same time, they felt a bellyful of anger. Nearly 2 months of hard work, but it was all for someone else's benefit. Damn bastard, I definitely won't let this go. Shang Zhe clenched his fists so hard that his knuckles cracked, and his eyes surged with anger. Lin Hai sighed helplessly. He looked at the confused and wronged Xinwen and said in a low voice, "Let's go back to Lingxi Martial House first. This person is definitely a student from a high martial house. We'll definitely find him in the future." Imperial City. After more than 20 days, Chu Hen had once again returned to this beautiful and bustling big city. Nearly a month's worth of activities in the forest, fighting and killing demonic beasts, caused Chu Hen's aura to become more stable, and his firm outline faintly revealed a formless sharpness. Qingyun Pavilion. Chu Hen was the first to arrive at the Qingyun Chamber of Commerce. He first traded the mission items he had obtained in the Boneless Mountain Range, as well as the demonic beast crystal cores he had collected. "Hello, how may I help you?" A beautiful young lady with a sweet voice received Chu Hen in the 5th area of the mission exchange. "I'm here to trade some items," said Chu Hen. "Is it a mission exchange or a normal exchange?" "Both." After saying that, Chu Hen put a pile of things on the counter in one go. Exotic flowers and herbs of all sizes, spiritual materials and treasures, demonic beast crystal cores, instantly covered the counter. The resplendent crystal cores shone brightly, instantly attracting the surprised gazes of the surrounding people. This is the snake gallbladder of a 9-segmented snake. This is the twin black Ganoderma. As Chu Hen spoke, he separated the eastern and western areas. Meanwhile, the young lady in charge of reception was dumbfounded. Her small mouth was so wide open that an egg could fit in it. "Sir, please rest here for a while. Let us handle this kind of thing," said the young lady as she summoned a few other internal members of the Chamber of Commerce. When everyone saw the precious treasures and crystal cores everywhere, their faces were filled with uneasiness. "Sir, please rest assured and leave it to us. We will register and trade all the items on the mission list for you. We will also give you a satisfactory price for the items that are not on the mission list." A middle-aged man spoke rather politely. Chu Hen nodded and said with a faint smile, "All right. Sir, you can have a cup of tea in the resting area and also look at our other goods." Got it. Compared to the first time he had come here, their attitude was really different. The few of them began to skillfully count the treasures and demonic beast crystal cores on the counter. Of course, these things had already been accounted for before Chu Hen entered the city. Among them were not only the spiritual materials and treasures he had collected, but also the demonic beast crystal cores. There were also the items that the bald bandit and the 3 consonants Marshall House disciples had collected. The 5 people's collection of precious treasures and crystal cores added together made up a rather astonishing amount. When Chu Hen was doing the accounting, he kept some of the things that he thought were useful. The crimson blood crystal lotus was also kept by him. The reason why Chu Hen wanted to obtain the crimson blood crystal lotus was because he wanted to exchange it for 15 high-grade primal crystals and trade for the golden python inverse scales spear. However, Chu Hen had coincidentally obtained the demon punisher spear left behind by Fong Bufan, the demon punisher spear, so there was no need for the golden python inverse scales spear. Moreover, a treasure like the blood crystal lotus was priceless. It was often something that could only be found by chance. Chu Hen had obtained a blood crystal lotus with great difficulty, and he might have a use for it in the future. Therefore, no matter what the situation was, keeping it for the time being was definitely the right thing to do. Counter number 4. What weapon do you want? See for yourself. An indifferent voice came from the mouth of an old man behind the counter. He had his head lowered and was carefully wiping an ink-like object. In the eyes of this shopkeeper, his attitude towards customers had never been good. Immediately after, a slender palm reached in front of the shopkeeper and casually placed several dozen mid-grade primordial crystals on the counter. 55 mid-grade primordial crystals. I'll return it to you together with interest. HM? Shopkeeper Jean could not help but be startled. When he raised his head, a familiar young face entered his line of sight. It's you? Hee, so Shopkeeper Jean still remembers me, Chu Hen said with a smile. Of course I remember. I remember anyone who owes me money. Shopkeeper Jean smiled faintly and placed the 55 mid-grade primordial crystals on the table behind the counter. Did you go on a mission? Yes. I made a trip to the Boneless Mountain Range. How was the harvest? Shopkeeper Jean had a simple conversation with Chu Hen as he continued wiping the items in his hands. If I remember correctly, you seem to be more interested in the golden python inverse scales spear. If you have 5 high-grade primordial crystals on hand, you can temporarily take it with you. As for the rest, you'll have to return 6 of them to me with interest. Chu Hen smiled and shook his head. He really had to hand it to this old and cunning shopkeeper Jean. What if I can't return it? I'll give you 3 months. If you can't return it by then, I'll take back the golden python inverse scales spear and will not return the 5 high-grade primordial crystals you paid in advance. What a scam! Chu Hen cursed under his breath. Seeing that Chu Hen did not speak, Shopkeeper Jean assumed that he could not afford to pay the 5 high-grade primordial crystals. His tone became much colder. If there's nothing else, I won't keep you company. Hee, do as you wish. Chu Hen laughed. Young master, the list of items you've brought has been completed. At this moment, the young lady who was in charge of the reception earlier walked up to Chu Hen's side politely. Is that so? Yes. The young lady held a list in her hands and said, there are a total of 38 transactions for the mission items. In the ordinary transactions, there are 131 Great Fey crystals, 6 Class 4 Great Fey crystals, 45 Class 3 Great Fey crystals, and Class 2 Great Fey. All right. Chu Hen hurriedly interrupted the other party's report. Just tell me how much I can get in return. According to our estimates, the total transaction value of these items is 29 high-grade primordial crystals and 50 mid-grade primordial crystals. What? Shopkeeper Jean, who was at the side, was shocked by this number. His face was filled with astonishment, and he wondered if he had misheard. 29 high-grade primordial crystals and 50 mid-grade primordial crystals? Chu Hen murmured. This price was slightly higher than what he had estimated. The main reason was that the transactions for the missions and the few great fey crystals were more valuable. This was all thanks to the help of those few people. Otherwise, with just Chu Hen alone, he would be secretly happy to be able to earn 5 high-grade primal crystal stones on this trip. It's like this, young master. However, because the transaction amount you completed this time is relatively large, our Chamber of Commerce has decided to give you an additional 50 mid-grade primordial crystals. Therefore, you can get 30 high-grade primordial crystals from this transaction. In that case, thank you. I agree to this transaction. Chu Hen did not hesitate any longer. Alright, this is the detailed transaction list and the 30 high-grade primordial crystals. Please count them. The young lady placed the paper and a heavy, exquisite cloth bag in front of Chu Hen. Chu Hen only opened the bag and glanced at it briefly before keeping it in his storage ring. The transaction is completed. I'll be leaving first. Young master, take care. I look forward to our next cooperation. Under the envious gazes of the surrounding crowd, Chu Hen walked towards the entrance of Qing Yun Pavilion. No one had expected a young man to complete a transaction of 30 high-grade primordial crystals in one go. The most shocked person was shopkeeper Jean. He had really misjudged him this time. However, who would have thought that the guy who could not even afford 150 mid-grade primordial crystals the previous time would be able to complete so many transactions today? 30 high-grade primordial crystals were equivalent to 3,000 mid-grade primordial crystals. Chu Hen was extremely satisfied. At least he would not have to worry about primordial crystals for a long time to come. Some readers say that I rarely interact with everyone. In fact, whenever my brothers leave a comment in my book review section, I will read it seriously and reply to them one by one. The mobile version of the book review section is not very complete. Even if I reply, the comment displayed is still 0. Therefore, my brothers can click on that book review to see my reply. Chapter 53. After the transaction with the Rising Cloud Chamber of Commerce, Chu Hen embarked on his journey back to the Heavenly Star Marshall House in a good mood. 30 high-grade primordial crystals. Based on the ratio of 100, it was equivalent to 3,000 mid-grade primordial crystals. However, back in Flaming Rain City, Chu Hen could only receive 2 or 3 mid-grade primordial crystals from the general's residence every month. The gap between them was self-evident. One had to admit that hunting demonic beasts was indeed a faster way to earn money. But then again, the level of danger was also very high. If one was not careful and encountered a demonic beast of a higher level, one would die. Other than demonic beasts, one had to guard against bandits and bandits. Therefore, no one was willing to do this unless it was absolutely necessary. Of course, this did not include students from higher martial houses who went out to train. By the time Chu Hen returned to Tensei Prefecture, it was already afternoon. Everyone in the academy was talking about the Star Elite Monarch Ascension Association. However, Chu Hen did not deliberately try to find out more about this topic. F***ck, you bastard, you're finally back? I thought you died on the belly of that vixen. Tell me honestly, are the bodies of the girls from the Phoenix Arrival Pavilion in the eastern part of the city soft, fragrant, and smooth? The moment Chu Hen stepped into the courtyard, Mu Feng's series of roars came crashing down on him. I met a lunatic as soon as I entered. How unlucky! Chu Hen cursed and walked straight to his room. Hee. Mu Feng walked over with a cheeky grin on his face and said in a neurotic manner, "Brother, where have you been these past few days?" "Boneless Mountain Range. I almost lost my life. Do you want to go?" "I'll bring you along next time," Chu Hen replied nonchalantly. Boneless Mountain Range? Mu Feng could not help but gulp. He shrunk his neck and said, "Hee, there's no need to call me for this kind of good thing. Things like going shopping with a girl and talking about life's ideals don't forget me. How could there be such things? Come on. Still pretending?" Mu Feng swaggered to the stool next to Chu Hen and sat down. He put his hand on Chu Hen's shoulder and said while grinning, "Brother, you've really made me look at you in a whole new light. Tell me honestly, how did you hook up with that ice beauty?" When Chu Hen heard this, his head was filled with fog. He thought to himself, what kind of illness did this guy have this time? What ice beauty, volcano beauty? Continue acting. This Marshal Feng will quietly watch you act today. You can scram now. How strange. When Mu Feng saw how Chu Hen refused to admit it no matter what, his face was filled with disdain. He tilted his head and said in dissatisfaction, "Humph, you're too mean. You're still hiding it from me at a time like this. Tell me honestly, did you hook up with Long Xuanxuang?" "Long Xuanxuang?" Chu Hen was startled and subconsciously blurted out. "She came here? Humph, you can't pretend anymore, right? You're really something. How much money do you owe Long Xuanxuang?" "She actually came to the school personally. I was wondering why you left early in the morning that day. It turns out that you went to hide from your debt." From Mu Feng's words, Mo Wuji knew that Long Xuanxuang had gone to the Boneless Mountain Range on the day she came to find him. "Did she say anything?" Chu Hen asked. "She said that she thinks that I'm handsome and cute. She asked you to stop pestering her and return the money as soon as possible." Chu Hen shook his head helplessly. This guy really knows how to spout nonsense. Since Long Xuanxuang personally came to Tensei Prefecture to find him, it showed that she didn't treat him as an outsider. After thinking for a short while, Chu Hen did not say anything else and hurried out. "Where are you going?" Mu Feng asked hurriedly. "It's none of your business. Long Xuanxuang already asked you to return the money as soon as possible. Stop pestering her. Hey bro, can you bring me along? Damn, I'm on my period." It was almost evening. When Chu Hen arrived at the Bright Moon Academy, the sky had already turned hazy and dusky. "Hey, aren't you that guy?" The guard at the door was a little surprised to see Chu Hen's familiar face. "Oh, I remember now. You're that Chu Hen." The guard's tone carried a hint of mockery. Some time ago, news about Chu Hen had spread like wildfire in the capital. In just a month, he was rejected by 27 advanced martial schools. That was the record for the most rejections. At that time, even the waiters in the restaurants and teahouses looked at Chu Hen with sympathy. Chu Hen did not care about the guard's gaze and said calmly, "I'm looking for someone. Can I pass on the message?" "Who are you looking for?" The guard replied in a lukewarm tone. "Long Xuanxuang." As soon as these 3 words came out, the guard's eyes were filled with disdain and his tone was full of contempt. "Hee, are you making fun of me?" "What do you mean?" Chu Hen frowned slightly. People who want to see Long Xuanxuang every day can line up from the entrance to the street. May I ask where you are in the queue? Chu Hen was both shocked and surprised. Was this second sister of his so popular? Although he knew that Long Xuanxuang was good-looking and was a beauty since she was a child, it should not be this exaggerated, right? Could it be that he used to stay with her every day and see her so much that it affected his sense of beauty? I'm different from others. You just need to tell her that Chu Hen is looking for her and she will definitely see me. I've heard this sentence no less than 800 times. Can you come up with something new? She is my sister. There is something new, but the level is too low. The guard obviously did not believe Chu Hen's words. In his eyes, Chu Hen could be said to be the worst of Long Xuanxuang's many pursuers. Why waste time? Chu Hen was angry and amused at the same time. He really did not expect that Long Xuanxuang's cold and unreasonable personality could be so charming. Okay. Then I'll look for senior brother Zhou Hao. Is that okay? Zhou Hao was Haozi. Previously, when Chu Hen was in the Bright Moon Martial House's entrance examination, it was because of Haozi's help that he was able to make it to the last round of the entrance examination. Later, for some reason, Chu Hen was rejected by the Bright Moon Martial House, and Haozi even felt that it was unfair for him. Chu Hen thought that since the guard did not want to inform him, then he would let Haozi pass the message on his behalf. Zhou Hao? The guard frowned. Yes, it's that small-eyed senior brother Haozi. I know. The guard replied coldly with a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. Zhou Hao has already left the Bright Moon Academy. Go look for him elsewhere. Senior brother Haozi has left? Why? I don't know. The guard seemed to be a little impatient. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes. Why would Haozi leave the Bright Moon Academy for no reason? He remembered that Zhou Hao said that he had to take the entrance examination for 2 years before he was accepted by the Bright Moon Academy. It was absolutely impossible for Zhou Hao to leave the high-ranked martial house that he had worked so hard to enter. Could it be that there was some secret behind this? A new month, a new day, a new beginning. First, I want to say hello to my brothers. It was 1 day closer to the release date. Yesterday, the editor informed me that the release date was changed to the 6th of this month, Thursday. In other words, it was 1 day earlier than the scheduled release date. I hope that my brothers will leave all the flowers in your hands to me. When the day comes, I will give them to the God King. Thank you in advance. Chapter 54. He did not see Long Xuanxuang. Even Haozi had left the Bright Moon Academy. Carrying a heart filled with bewilderment, Chu Hen helplessly left the Bright Moon Academy. At this moment, the color of the sky had already gradually darkened. A gust of night wind gently blew past, bringing with it a faint trace of coolness. Big Brother should be back from the Sky Lake Mountains in a few days. When that time comes, I'll come with him to find second sister. Chu Hen thought to himself. Long Qingyang had gone to the Sky Lake Mountains on the first day he had arrived in the capital. Calculating the time, 2 months were almost up. Long Qingyang should be back soon. The streets of the capital seemed to be even more bustling in the evening. The stalls on both sides of the street were taking advantage of this time to earn money to support their families. Row upon row of high-rise buildings were brightly lit, contrasting with the stars that were about to adorn the night sky. F***ck, where did this beggar come from? Get lost. A disgusted curse came from the mouth of one of the peddlers on the side of the street. I'm not a beggar. I just want to rest here for a while. This voice? Chu Hen's heart skipped a beat. He quickly turned his gaze in that direction and saw a middle-aged man next to a stall selling cooked food. He was looking at a skinny figure with extreme disgust. Get lost, don't disturb my business. The stall owner scolded. The skinny figure licked his shriveled lips, then retreated to the foot of a nearby wall. He hugged his knees and curled up into a ball. Looking at the dirty figure with a face full of mud, Lin Fan felt a chill run down his spine. Chu Hen did not dare to believe what he was seeing in front of his eyes. Without saying anything further, he hurriedly walked forward and said, "Senior Haozi." Hearing the call, the skinny figure slowly raised his head, revealing a pair of small, rat-like eyes. In the past, this pair of eyes had always been bright and intelligent, but now they were filled with gloominess. Junior brother Chu Hen, it's you. Haozi squeezed out an ugly smile, but more than that, he felt awkward. I just went to the Bright Moon Academy to look for you. The guards said that you left the martial house. What happened? Hee. Haozi laughed bitterly and said helplessly, ever since you failed to enter the Bright Moon Academy, He Chao and He Xian have been causing trouble for me every few days. I thought it would be over soon, but I didn't expect that the 2 brothers would accuse me of stealing something from them. In the end, they reported it to the upper echelons of the martial house, and I was expelled from the academy. He Chao, He Xian, Chu Hen wrinkled his eyebrows and a bit of anger flashed in his eyes. The truth is that many people in the academy know that I was wrongly accused, but He Chao and his brother are deeply valued by the Marshall House's mentors. Compared to them, I'm just a mediocre talent that's always at the bottom of the rankings. It doesn't matter if they want me or not. House's smile was especially dry. These two damned bastards. A layer of frost immediately spread over Chu Hen's face. While the anger in his heart rose, he was also filled with guilt towards Housie. If it wasn't for the grudge between him and the two brothers, how could it have implicated Housie? He Chao and He Xian were completely unable to take revenge on him, so they vented their anger on Housie. Senior brother Housie, I'm sorry, Chu Hen said sincerely. Housie shook his head. All of this is my fate, I don't blame you. As he said this, Housie's eyes did not avoid his gaze. It could be seen that he really didn't blame Chu Hen. Perhaps he had a little complaint, but most of it was his hatred towards He Chao and He Xian. Senior brother Housie, what happened to your hands? The corner of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed. From the beginning, he had noticed that Housie's hands were stiff and wooden, and he had maintained the same posture. He couldn't even move his fingers. Housie didn't say anything, only smiling bitterly as he shook his head. Chu Hen's face became increasingly gloomy, and the chill in his eyes was as sharp as an icicle. One of the most famous medical centers in the imperial city. A golden signboard with the words, "Magic Hands Bring Back the Spring," hung on the main entrance of the antique building. Change the medicine twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. Within 7 days, you will be as good as new. An old man in a long robe stroked a wisp of beard on his chin as he spoke to Chu Hen, pointing to a few bottles of medicine on the table. On the chair next to him, Housie's hands were wrapped in thick bandages, and the dirt on his face had been wiped clean. He had also changed into a new set of clothes. He looked much more energetic. Senior brother Housie, how do you feel now? Chu Hen asked. Housie's pair of small eyes flickered with a bit of light. He looked at his hands and said, I feel that my hands belong to me again, and I can move them now. Chu Hen couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, and said gratefully to the old man next to him, Thank you, Dr. One. It's no big deal, it's just a piece of cake, but the person who did this to him was too ruthless. The broken bones pierced into his meridians. If he came half a day later, I'm afraid that his hands would have been completely crippled. The old man said. Upon hearing this, Housie's face also surged with a bit of frost and hatred. Chu Hen gently patted the other's shoulder, and said in a decisive and firm tone, Senior brother Housie, don't worry. I, Chu Hen, will definitely make you pay for this with interest. This matter started because of Chu Hen, and Housie was implicated for no reason. If that He Chao directly targeted Chu Hen, perhaps Chu Hen would not be so angry. However, this matter had already happened, and someone had to bear the responsibility. Senior brother Housie, come back to Tensei Prefecture with me first. Tensei Prefecture. In a spacious room, Mu Feng held his head with his hand and squinted his eyes, looking strangely at Housie, who was sitting opposite him, eating and drinking crazily. Sigh. I thought you brought back a beauty, I didn't expect you to bring back a starving ghost. Mu Feng's small eyes were full of contempt, and then he immediately said to Housie, Brother, eat slowly, don't choke to death. Housie smiled a little embarrassedly. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Chu Hen reclined on the bed, holding a scroll in his hand, his gaze carefully looking at the contents inside. At the opening of the scroll were the 5 big words, Soul Frightening Demon Slayer Spear. Mu Feng rolled his eyes and replied snappily, F***ck, can you be a little more polite to me? Everything he's eating now belongs to me. Don't you know that you're eating from others? You have a problem with that? Chu Hen had a disapproving look. Yes, of course I do, and it's a very big problem. No matter what, for the next month, 3 meals a day will be on your bill. No problem. You agreed so readily? Did you pick up a girl's underwear with gold on the side of the road? Doesn't it smell coquettish? As soon as his voice fell, Haozi was directly smirked by Mu Feng's words, and for a moment, he couldn't help but spit out all the food in his mouth, and even sprayed it all over Mu Feng's face. F***CKU, motherf*** cur. Mu Feng directly jumped up in anger, opened his mouth and scolded. Haozi hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry, senior brother Mu Feng, I didn't mean it. Stay away from me, you can spit out food when you eat, do you also spit out shit when you sleep? That won't happen, I rarely wet the bed since I was 6 years old. Scram with lightning speed. If you dare to spit food on my face again, I'll beat the shit out of you. Mu Feng said with disdain. This scene in front of him, even Chu Hen couldn't stop laughing. These two fellows together, they were really a pair of clowns. The next morning, Mu Feng, help senior brother Haozi change his ointment later, I'll go look for hunter mentor Song Ching, Chu Hen said before leaving. Behind him, Mu Feng's voice could be faintly heard, change your ante, I'm not doing it. Chu Hen went to look for Hunter Song because of Haozi. He hoped that the Tensei prefecture could take him in. After all, Haozi's predicament was all because of him. As a man, it was reasonable for him to take responsibility. Half an hour later, Chu Hen arrived at a vast training field. It was said that Hunter Song would practice here every morning, and sometimes he would even point out the flaws and problems in the students' cultivation. Boom! From afar, the sound of heavy objects colliding could be heard. A tall, middle-aged man was punching a 3-meter-tall, 1-meter-wide black tree stump with his bare hand. The tree stump was made of an extremely sturdy iron tree. Judging from its width, it was at least 50 years old. Even a full-force blow from Wu Xiu, who was in the elemental opening realm, could only leave a shallow fist mark on the tree. The middle-aged man threw one punch after another. His punches were direct and simple, without the slightest bit of fanciness. With every punch, a 10-centimeter deep fist mark would appear on the iron tree. Without a doubt, this seemingly simple punch contained an extremely powerful lethality. If a normal person were to take a punch like this, the bones in their body would probably be smashed into smithereens in an instant. Hunter Mentor Cheng. Chu Hen walked over. The middle-aged man stopped what he was doing and smiled brightly. It's you, Hunter Mentor Cheng. Chu Hen cupped his fists and bowed politely. You don't have to be so polite with me. Have you gotten used to living in our Tensei prefecture? Not bad. Hunter Cheng, I have a favor to ask of you. Go ahead. I have a friend who used to be in the Bright Moon Martial House and has opened 8 martial meridians. Chu Hen began to introduce Haozi and gave Song Chunglai some basic information about him. Finally, he asked Song Chunglai to take Haozi in. Song Chunglai listened quietly and raised his eyebrows. So that's it. No problem. You agree? Chu Hen's face lit up. Yes. Song Chunglai nodded. I'll get Gu Qing to handle the paperwork for him later. Thank you very much, mentor. Chu Hen did not expect Song Chunglai to agree so readily. At the same time, he felt relieved. By the way, Chu Hen. Song Chunglai suddenly thought of something. He stared at Chu Hen with a strange look in his eyes and said, in the past month, did you not attend Mentor Shi Lan's martial arts lessons even once? Yes. Chu Hen nodded honestly. Chapter 55. Maple Forest Stakes. Located on the west side of Tensei Prefecture, this was an area where the Academy's disciples usually trained. As the name suggested, there was a maple forest here. Every late autumn, the maple leaves here would be as red as fire. At that time, the entire maple forest would look like a sea of red maple trees, attracting countless students and teachers to come and watch. The Maple Forest Stakes was a wooden stake formation built here in Tensei Prefecture. The main purpose of the wooden stake formation was to train the agility of the students, their own coordination, and the sensitivity of their reactions. The formation that was set up. The largest wooden stake formation was set up with thousands of wooden stakes. The size of the stakes was not uniform, and the length was also different. There was a magical formation set up below the wooden stakes. Once the formation was activated, the entire area of the wooden stake formation would become unstable. At that time, not only would the positions of the wooden stakes change at will, but the leaves, pebbles, sand, and other things on the ground would also become offensive, hidden weapons. While the students in the wooden stake formation had to stabilize their balance, they also had to dodge the attacking objects that flew at them from all angles. On the surface, there was nothing special about this wooden stake formation. However, there were many students who had fallen from the wooden stakes countless times and were badly battered. They no longer dared to underestimate this formation. Other than the wooden stake formation, there were other training areas in Tensei Prefecture, such as the Bronze Men formation to train one's fighting ability, the Illusory Killing formation to increase one's fighting ability, and the 10,000 Arrows formation to train one's speed. Of course, the favorite place for students of the higher academies was the arena. Because Chu Hen had not had the time to understand the various matters of Tensei Prefecture, his knowledge of the higher academies was limited. Chu Hen did not even know how vast the area of Tensei Prefecture was. After walking around for a long time, Chu Hen finally found the location of the Maple Forest stake. Only today did Chu Hen realize that the Heavenly Star Martial House was much larger than he had imagined. Furthermore, the number of students was also not small. Most of the students were gathered in the training areas. Passing through the lush maple forest, Chu Hen arrived at the gathering place for the students of Shi Lan's class that Song Chunglai had told him about. On a vast open-air plaza, there was a circular platform. The platform was lined with thousands of wooden stakes. The wooden stakes were pitch black and arranged in a random order. The longest was more than 3 meters, while the shortest was less than 1 meter. At this moment, the array formation had not been activated, and the wooden stake was still in a stationary state. Quite a number of students were practicing their movement technique. They were all swaying, making people worry that they would fall. Those who were more familiar with each other would spar with each other in pairs. Sparring with each other, Chu Hen looked over from afar and couldn't help but feel a little surprised. Although this speed was simple, it was not easy to do it. Moreover, the wooden stakes were only in a stationary state, yet many people could not stand steadily. Once the array was activated, they would all fall flat on their back. "Hey, senior brother Chu Hen, over here!" Right at this moment, a clear and bright shout sounded out. Chu Hen looked over and saw that it was a delicate-looking, shy young man. This person was one of the 3 direct students of Shi Lan this year. Chu Hen remembered that his name was Li Hui. This year, Instructor Shi Lan had only provided 3 direct students. At the 7 Stars Square, one of her students, He Qing Yuan, had chosen by holding a chess piece in his palm. In the end, the 3 who won the spots were Chu Hen, Li Hui, and a girl named Zhou Lu. There were 5 or 6 people standing beside Li Hui. The girl named Zhou Lu was among them. As for He Qing Yuan, he was not here. As everyone knew, Instructor Shi Lan had the least number of students. But her overall strength was the strongest. Some of them were training outside, while others were cultivating in seclusion. So unless it was a special situation, Instructor Shi Lan would not gather all the students under her. "Senior brother Chu Hen, you're finally here." Li Hui greeted him in a friendly manner. Chu Hen faintly smiled, which could be counted as a signal. "Haha, a new student really has a lot of face. Does he think he's some great person?" A sarcastic voice suddenly sounded in their ears. The one who spoke was a young man with a slender figure and a heroic air. But at this moment, there was a mocking look on his face. Needless to say, he knew that the person he was talking about was Chu Hen. The other young men and women were watching from the side, as if they were watching a show. Chu Hen was not angry. He cupped his fist slightly and said, "Senior brother, you're right. I've delayed reporting to Instructor Shi Lan because of my weapon. I hope you can forgive me." In reality, it was He Qing Yuan who told Chu Hen to first deal with the matter of the weapon before reporting. But who would have thought that a shadow spear would cost Chu Hen all his primordial crystal stones? Because of this, Chu Hen had no choice but to go to the Boneless Mountain Range to hunt demonic beasts and complete the Clear Cloud Trade Association's mission. As a result, Instructor Shi Lan's reporting was delayed. Chu Hen knew Instructor Shi Lan's position in the eyes of the students in Tensei Prefecture. His absence for nearly a month naturally made some people unhappy. But there was no need to argue about this. It was appropriate for Chu Hen to take the initiative to apologize. However, the young man did not seem to agree with Chu Hen's apology. He sneered disdainfully and said, "It took you so long to settle the weapon issue. Your efficiency is really fast. How can someone as arrogant as you be worthy of being Instructor Shi Lan's direct disciple? I don't think you need to come anymore. Leave as soon as possible." "Wu Zhe, just say a few words." A young woman in blue with a ponytail felt that the other party's words were too harsh. She looked at Chu Hen and said, "He's just a new student. It's inevitable for him to make mistakes sometimes." "That's right, Senior Brother Wu Zhe. Senior Sister Lu Yu is right. Don't blame Senior Brother Chu Hen." Li Hui also put in a good word for Chu Hen. In fact, Li Hui and Chu Hen were not familiar with each other. But after all, they were new students this year. Moreover, when the new students were choosing their instructors, Chu Hen fought with Lin Tao at the Seven Stars Square because of the competition for the quota. The scene of Chu Hen defeating the number 1 newcomer, Lin Tao, was deeply engraved in their hearts. Because of this, Li Hui admired Chu Hen. As for the other newcomer, Zhou Lu, she pursed her lips and stood at the side without saying a word. The reason of being a newcomer is not an excuse to make mistakes. Wu Zhe did not let it go. He coldly looked at Chu Hen with a commanding tone. "Instructor Shi Lan will not want a student like you. Moreover, you are not worthy to be Instructor Shi Lan's student. Hurry up and scram." "Hee, if I'm not qualified, I'm afraid that you, Senior Brother, won't be any better?" The soft and gentle voice instantly caused the hearts of everyone present to be startled. They only saw a hint of a smile hanging on Chu Hen's face. No one could ignore the barrage of insults, especially when Chu Hen had already apologized. The other party continued to talk incessantly, finally provoking Chu Hen to retaliate. "What did you say?" Wu Zhe's face instantly turned gloomy. Whether I scram or not, it's not up to you to decide. Whether Instructor Shi Lan wants me or not, it's up to her to decide. Why is there a need for you to point fingers here? Senior Brother, aren't you thinking too highly of yourself?" His calm words carried a hint of mockery. Towards this kind of arrogant person who used a chicken feather as a token of authority, it was not worth it for Chu Hen to repeatedly give in. At the side, Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others' faces all changed. No one expected that Chu Hen would actually dare to rebuke Wu Zhe in public. The other students around the maple tree stump square were also attracted by the commotion here. Pairs of strange eyes filled with astonishment were cast over. What happened? "I don't know, it seems that Senior Brother Wu Zhe and that Chu Hen had an argument." "No way. Senior Brother Wu Zhe was scolded by a newcomer?" Feeling the surrounding pairs of eyes watching the show, the fire in Wu Zhe's heart continued to rise. A newcomer dared to publicly offend him? This was truly humiliating. The air was filled with the smell of gunpowder, and the atmosphere seemed to have dropped to the freezing point. "Senior Brother Chu Hen, hurry up and apologize to Senior Brother Wu Zhe. He won't make things difficult for you," Li Hui said. "No need." Wu Zhe angrily flicked his sleeves, pointed at Chu Hen's nose and scolded, "Today, as your senior brother, I will properly teach you what it means to respect your teacher." Chu Hen smiled indifferently. "So, you have been incessantly mocking me from the beginning. Do you know what it means to respect others?" "Shut up." Wu Zhe was enraged, and a surging aura erupted from his body. Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu and the others, who were beside him, all retreated. Immediately, Wu Zhe raised his palm and struck towards Chu Hen's face. Lie down. Humph. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and dense true yuan filled the air. He faced his opponent's attack head-on with his palm. Bang! Their palms collided heavily, and a circle of scattered real essence power bloomed from the palms of both sides. The chaotic shockwave swept away the accumulated maple leaves on the ground. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, Chu Hen and Wu Zhe both retreated a few steps. That guy can actually receive senior brother Wu Zhe's palm energy? A cry of surprise came from the crowd. Good lad, senior brother Wu Zhe has the strength of a rank 3 element opening realm martial artist. Wu Zhe was also astonished that Chu Hen was able to receive his palm attack without being defeated. Humph, I didn't expect you to have some ability. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. Thank you for your compliment. I didn't expect you to only have this much ability. It seems like among the direct disciples of teacher Shilan, you are the lowest of the low. Chu Hen replied coldly. Wu Zhe was burning with anger. He pointed at Chu Hen and said, Bastard, you really dare to speak such nonsense? Do you dare to fight me in the wooden stake array? Chapter 56. Bastard, you're really talking nonsense. Do you dare to enter the wooden stake array with me? Wu Zhe, who was furious, pointed at the wooden stake array in the middle of the maple forest square, and said. Chu Hen's face showed no signs of fear as he replied coldly, Do you think I'm afraid of you? Arrogant. Absolute arrogance. When Chu Hen's words came out, everyone who was seated were endlessly stunned. No one did not think that Chu Hen was overly arrogant and conceited. He was just a new student and he dared to challenge Wu Zhe? Furthermore, he dared to agree to enter the wooden stake array? He was simply digging his own grave. Humph, stupid thing. Wu Zhe sneered and immediately walked towards the crowd on the square. With a leap, he steadily stepped onto a 2-meter-tall wooden stake. The other students on the wooden stake array all retreated to the back, creating a large enough space for Wu Zhe. Chu Hen was also not careless as he leapt onto a wooden pillar. As it was his first time stepping onto the wooden stake array, Chu Hen's body obviously swayed a few times. When the surrounding crowd saw this, they all revealed mocking expressions. So it's his first time on the wooden stake array? Then I really admire his courage. He can't even stand properly, yet he still dares to fight on it? It's probably because he got carried away after defeating Lin Tao at the 7 Stars Plaza. This is not called being proud, it's called being ignorant. None of the people present were optimistic about Chu Hen. They all thought that he was asking to be humiliated. Not to mention how long Wu Zhe had been training on the wooden stake array. He could easily suppress Chu Hen with his strength of the 3rd level of the element opening realm. After all, to everyone's knowledge, Chu Hen's cultivation had only opened 9 martial meridians. I was just speaking casually. You, who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth, actually dared to follow me into the wooden stake array. Wu Zhe sneered. A disdainful smile appeared on the corner of Chu Hen's mouth. I thought you were afraid that you couldn't beat me, so you used this move to increase your chances of winning. What a joke. I'll let you know how ridiculous you are right now. As soon as he said that, Wu Zhe quickly took a step forward, moving across the wooden pillar as if he was walking on flat ground. In an instant, he arrived before Chu Hen. His hand turned into a palm blade and slashed towards Chu Hen's neck. So fast. Senior brother Wu Zhe is indeed powerful. Along with the exclamations of the surrounding students, Wu Zhe's attacks were swift and fierce like the wind. Chu Hen's brows slightly wrinkled, and he quickly retreated. Too slow. Wu Zhe laughed complacently. His palm force suddenly changed, and the force was directed downwards, striking towards Chu Hen's chest. Because he was not familiar with the wooden dummy, Chu Hen almost missed his step. Wu Zhe's palm attack had already arrived, and there was no way to avoid it. He could only face it head-on. 7 killing Dark Dipper Fist. Boom! The fist and palm collided, and a chaotic shockwave instantly exploded in midair. The collision of true yuan caused the air to become abnormally chaotic, and the sound of waves reverberated. Because his center of gravity was not stable, Chu Hen's punch did not gain any advantage. Get down! Wu Zhe raised his right leg and swept a side whip kick towards Chu Hen's waist. Chu Hen's expression changed slightly. With a flip of his body, he jumped and flashed onto another wooden pillar. However, Wu Zhe's speed was clearly much faster. Without waiting for Chu Hen to stabilize his footing, Wu Zhe's attack came right after. A fist energy that was surrounded by surging true origin energy exploded towards his opponent's head. As Chu Hen bent his body to dodge, he lost his footing and instantly fell from the wooden pillar. Everyone present sneered in disdain. However, at this moment, Chu Hen hugged the wooden pillar beside him with his arms. Then, with his body parallel to the ground, he swept his leg towards Wu Zhe's lower body. This guy still has some reflexes, someone at the side said. Wu Zhe naturally did not expect Chu Hen to be able to pull off such a move. He leaped to the side and easily dodged this attack. But Chu Hen also took this opportunity to flip back onto the wooden pillar. In the short close combat just now, Chu Hen's performance was still commendable. If it was anyone else who climbed up the wooden pillar for the first time, they would probably be beaten down in 2 or 3 moves. Chu Hen stepped on the top of the wooden pillar with both feet, both hands on the tips of his shoes, and faced Wu Zhe in a squatting position. His clear black eyes faintly flashed with a confident luster. Wu Zhe sneered disdainfully and said, I don't know where your confidence comes from, but I regret to tell you that within 10 moves, I will definitely make you roll down from there. With that, Wu Zhe once again launched an attack towards Chu Hen. But this time, a faint smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. When Wu Zhe's attack arrived, swoosh, Chu Hen left the wooden pillar he was on and stepped onto another wooden pillar with a strange footwork. Although it was still not as stable as before, in terms of agility, it was like he was a completely different person. Do you think you can dodge? Wu Zhe disregarded this, and the aura of the 3rd level of the elemental opening realm continuously rose from his body. The turbulence formed by the surging true yuan caused the surrounding students, who were standing on the wooden pillars, to lose their footing. Chu Hen used the Big Dipper steps, nimbly changing his position like a swimming dragon. In Chu Hen's eyes, the wooden pillars under his feet could be arranged into countless positions of the Big Dipper, and then he could use the Big Dipper roaming dragon steps to change his position on the wooden pillar to achieve the effect of walking on flat ground. How did this guy get the hang of it so quickly? A direct disciple of teacher Shilan said. At the side, Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and a few others also revealed expressions of surprise. Senior brother Chu Hen is indeed not an ordinary person. I've been practicing on it for almost a month, but I'm not even half as nimble as him. Li Hui exclaimed in admiration. Zhou Lu frowned slightly and also said, Isn't this guy at the 9th level of the channel opening realm? Impossible. Lu Yu, who was at the side, firmly denied. The 9th level of the channel opening realm has long lost. I didn't expect our Tensei Prefecture to recruit such a newcomer this year. Bang! The power of true yuan continuously collided with each other on the wooden pillar array. Wu Zhe's swift and violent attacks, and Chu Hen's nimble and ever-changing movements made the battle in front of them more and more enjoyable. The most shocking thing was the strength that Chu Hen displayed. In the beginning, the other party was still stumbling on the wooden pillar, unable to stand steadily. In the blink of an eye, Chu Hen was already able to keep up with Wu Zhe's speed, and even contend with him. What exactly is that kid's background? With this kind of strength, even the Imperial Martial Academy would fight over him. Who knows? But I heard that before Chu Hen came to our Tensei Prefecture, he was rejected by nearly 30 high-ranked martial houses. No way? Do you know the reason? I'm not too sure about that. Previously, I thought that his goal in coming to Tensei Prefecture was for teacher Shilan. But who would have thought that he wouldn't even come to listen to teacher Shi Lan's teachings for a whole month? What a character. But no matter what, he definitely can't beat senior brother Wu Zhe. There's no doubt about that. Even though Wu Zhe's strength was considered to be at the bottom of teacher Shi Lan's direct disciples, he was still at the third level of the element opening realm. A newcomer like Chu Hen really didn't have much hope of winning. In the blink of an eye, 8 out of 10 moves had passed. There's only one move left. Boom! The surging quintessential essence violently collided with each other in midair, and the heavy sound was like a thunderstorm. Amidst the powerful shockwave, Chu Hen and Wu Zhe both flew backward. Buzz buzz, as he retreated, Wu Zhe's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. Humph, let's see how you're going to take my last move. A powerful aura continuously rose from Wu Zhe's body, and endless true yuan rapidly gathered in his palms along his arms. In an instant, a ferocious golden wolf's head appeared in everyone's line of sight. Restless energy waves continuously reverberated from the golden wolf's head, causing the air to tremble chaotically. Not good Lu Yu, who was also teacher Shi Lan's direct disciple, had a change in expression. She hurriedly scolded, "Wu Zhe, stop, don't mess around here." However, it was unknown if Lu Yu's warning was too late, or if Wu Zhe had already made up his mind. Boom! In the next moment, the golden wolf's head in Wu Zhe's palms suddenly opened its mouth, and with an unstoppable sound of rushing wind, a condensed beam of light shot out. The condensed beam of light emitted a shocking and dangerous aura, and like a shooting arrow, it attacked Chu Hen. Almost at the same time, a sharp spear appeared in Chu Hen's hands. A cold glint flickered in Chu Hen's eyes. The true yuan in his body cheered and flowed towards the demon Punisher's spear like a river. Closely after, the dark spear instantly turned into a dazzling blood-red color. That is? The hearts of the surrounding people were all startled. Every single one of them could feel the austere aura that originated from Chu Hen's body. Gale Blood Shadow Spear. Chu Hen shouted, and immediately raised his spear, facing the dazzling golden beam of light head-on. Boom! An astonishing amount of power unfolded in a powerful confrontation. The demon Punisher spear in Chu Hen's hand blossomed with a scarlet light, and a burst of surging impact power exploded like a flood. Under the shocked gazes of everyone, that bright and resplendent golden light beam shattered inch by inch and exploded into a ball of scattered Jin yuan. Zing! The demon Punisher spear attacked like a torrential storm. The sharp spear tip was like a hot knife through butter, directly striking the golden wolf head in front of Wu Zhe. Bang! The violent energy shock was instantly detonated, and Wu Zhe's pupils shrank. Before he could react, the golden wolf's head in front of him suddenly exploded. A powerful shockwave swept in all directions, and Chu Hen's 3-feet-long spear light shot down, cold and sharp like a blood shadow. All the attacks landed on Wu Zhe's body, and the latter's body shook violently before he was sent flying. Under the countless eyes of the surrounding people, Wu Zhe staggered and landed on the ground. Chapter 57. 10 moves, just right. A playful and frivolous laugh came out of Chu Hen's mouth. The demon Punisher's spear was pointed at Wu Zhe in front of him, and a sharp aura burst out of Chu Hen's body involuntarily. 3 feet of spear light, who could compete with it? In an instant, everyone in the Maple Forest Steak Plaza was shocked, and their faces were full of astonishment. 10 moves. The one who retreated from the wooden stake formation wasn't Chu Hen, but Wu Zhe. This result was completely out of everyone's expectations. Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others, a few of teacher Shi Lan's direct students, were even more shocked. They were very clear of Wu Zhe's strength. Especially in the wooden stake formation, the other party clearly had a greater advantage than Chu Hen. This guy's strength has increased so much again in just a month? Zhou Lu frowned slightly. She was shocked, but also a little mentally unbalanced. Among the new students this year, her strength was among the top in Tensei Prefecture. But compared to Chu Hen, it was simply insignificant. Looking at Wu Zhe, who had fallen from the wooden stake formation, her face was already extremely gloomy. Being humiliated by a new student was really intolerable. Don't be happy too early. Just now, I didn't even use half of my strength. Next, I will let you understand what is called the gap. Buzz! Before he finished speaking, a light saber appeared in Wu Zei's hand. The saber was more than 3 feet long, narrow like a willow leaf, and had a green luster. The surging true essence quickly gathered towards the light saber, and the aura that Wu Zei emitted rose steadily. With him as the center, the dead leaves on the ground fluttered and danced. You sure are chattering endlessly. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled into a disdainful sneer. With a thought, a similarly dense aura erupted. Threads of black light swept out along his right arm, like vines wrapping around the demon Punisher's spear. Buzz buzz! The strange and restless black light lingered around the demon Slayer's spear, as if it was covered with a layer of black flames from hell. The atmosphere in the square instantly became tense, and a great battle was about to break out. All of you stop. Just at this moment, a slightly angry rebuke exploded in the square. Everyone was shocked, and their eardrums unconsciously hurt. Senior Brother Qingyuan? Wu Zei's face changed as he hurriedly dispersed the condensed true essence power. Chu Hen also retracted the power he had released and looked in the same direction along with everyone else. 3 or 4 young men and women with extraordinary temperaments were approaching from afar. The surrounding people all looked at him with admiration and respect. He Qingyuan, who had helped mentor Shilan select the 3 direct students at the 7 Stars Square, was among them. However, most people were looking at the young man beside He Qingyuan. This man was dressed luxuriously and had a slender figure. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, giving off a cynical feeling, and on the chest of his clothes was a black pentagram badge. A black badge. He had accumulated 30,000 star points and could apply to leave the academy in advance. Anyone could tell that this person was not simple. Senior Brother Qingyuan, Senior Brother Bianhong, you're here. Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu and a few other direct students of Mentor Shilan went up to greet them. He Qingyuan first nodded, his handsome brows slightly furrowed as he looked at Wu Zei and Chu Hen, who had flashed down from the wooden stake array with dissatisfaction. What's going on? Reporting to Senior Brother Qingyuan. Wu Zei hurriedly said, this junior brother came to report a month ago, and as his senior brother, I only said a few words to him. It's fine if he didn't listen, but he even insulted me? That's why I couldn't help but teach him a lesson. You're really good at complaining first, Chu Hen said coldly and sarcastically. Enough. He Qingyuan shouted at the 2 of them and then said, Lu Yu, tell me what's going on? Lu Yu's beautiful eyes wandered, and after thinking for a while, she said, both of them are at fault. It's just that Wu Zei started it first. Although Lu Yu and Wu Zei were usually on good terms, in reality, Chu Hen had already apologized to everyone and explained the reason. Who was in the right and who was in the wrong, everyone present could see it clearly. Why did you only come now? He Qingyuan looked at Chu Hen and asked. Everyone knew that He Qingyuan was an all-round student. Although his innate talent wasn't extremely high, his mind was sharp and his ability to handle matters was very strong. Many times, Mentor Shilan would ask He Qingyuan to deal with the problems between the juniors. Therefore, many students were in awe of He Qingyuan. My apologies for the delay in dealing with the weapons. Chu Hen replied in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Dealing with the weapons? He Qingyuan could not help but be stunned. He remembered that he had asked Chu Hen to deal with the weapons first before reporting to him, but He Qingyuan did not expect him to spend so much time. He. Bianhong, who was at the side, could not help but laugh indifferently. He looked at Chu Hen with interest and said, a newcomer that can knock Wu Zei down from the wooden dummy array, you have some ability. His tone was indifferent, and there was not a hint of praise or derision. However, when Chu Hen heard this, he did not feel that it was a little harsh on his ears. In addition, Bien Hong's eyes, which were full of rumination, revealed a trace of obscure coldness. He Qingyuan frowned slightly and then said, "I'll let it go this time, but if there's a next time, you guys can deal with it. Don't forget, in the entire Tensei Prefecture, only the arena is the place to settle personal grudges." "Yes, Senior Brother Qingyuan," Wu Zhe replied in a low voice, coldly glancing at Chu Hen from the corner of his eyes. "Oh right, Senior Brother Qingyuan, where's Instructor Shilan? Why isn't she here yet?" The one who spoke was the newcomer, Zhou Lu, who was standing beside Li Hui. The others could not help but cast puzzled gazes. He Qingyuan nodded slightly, raised his eyelids slightly, and said, "Instructor Shilan has something to do today. She asked me to tell you that today's martial instruction class has been cancelled. Also..." He Qingyuan's voice paused, and his gaze looked towards Chu Hen, Li Hui, and Zhou Lu and said, "Instructor Shilan wants the three of you to go to Jun Lai Pavilion tomorrow night to participate in the Star Elite competition." Star Elite competition? Chu Hen and the other two could not help but be startled. Since returning to Tensei Prefecture yesterday, Chu Hen had always heard people talking about this matter. At that time, he did not pay much attention to it, but now it was related to him. What is the Star Elite competition? When this question came out of Chu Hen's mouth, the surrounding people were all startled. Each and every one of them looked at him with strange gazes. He actually did not even know this? The Star Elite competition is also called the Star Elite Monarch Assembly. This is a newcomer martial arts competition that is held once every year. Every time this time, all the top newcomers and genius students of the high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City will participate. As the saying goes, displaying the sharpness of the stars, the beginning of one's brilliance. Zhou Lu indifferently explained to Chu Hen. At the same time, no confidence could be seen in her eyes, and she seemed to be under great pressure. "Isn't this pretty good?" Li Hui interrupted and said. "What's good about it? Every year, the newcomers in Tensei Prefecture are ranked at the bottom. On the surface, this is an exchange of newcomers between the various high-ranked martial houses. In reality, it's just a competition to see which high-ranked martial house recruits the most outstanding newcomers. It's also equivalent to representing the martial house. Zhou Lu's family was from the Imperial City, and she was very clear about the situation of the various academies in the Imperial City. Li Hui rubbed his nose. How could he not know this? His words just now were obviously sarcastic. Zhou Lu continued, "In the past years, our Tensei Prefecture was always ranked at the bottom. I remember last year, an ordinary high-ranked martial house student humiliated our academy's newcomers half to death." Looking at Zhou Lu's expression, she most likely did not want to go to the so-called Star Elite Monarch Assembly. He Qingyuan, who was at the side, also secretly shook his head. Even though he did not want to hear these discouraging words, he had to admit that what Zhou Lu said was true. Every year, Tensei Prefecture was jointly suppressed by the various high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City. Almost every time, after being humiliated, they would return resentfully. In recent years, the newcomers in Tensei Prefecture were all afraid of this Star Elite Monarch Assembly, and 9 out of 10 were not willing to participate. "You guys go back and prepare," He Qingyuan said. Immediately, the crowd left the maple forest stump one after another. Chu Hen did not say much, and minded his own business as he turned and left. Wu Zhe looked at Chu Hen's back, and a faint chill surged in his eyes. Bien Hong, who wore a black badge on his chest, lightly rubbed his chin, and a faint smile appeared on his face. "Senior Brother Chu Hen, are you going to participate in the Star Elite Monarch Assembly?" "If you participate, I will participate." Li Hui followed Chu Hen's footsteps and asked. Chu Hen smiled slightly. "I'm not sure yet." Although Chu Hen said that he was not sure, he already had an answer in his heart. Since it was a banquet that all the high-ranked martial houses in the imperial city had to participate, then the Bright Moon Academy would definitely be among them. As the newcomers of the Bright Moon Academy, He Chao and the He Xian brothers would most likely also participate. The two of them had vented their anger on Haozi, and they needed to find an opportunity to settle the score. Chapter 58. After leaving the maple tree stump, Chu Hen went back first. He had yet to see teacher Shilan, but he had already started a conflict with her disciple, Wu Zhe. However, Chu Hen had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. If you dare to bully me, then there is no need to endure it. After a while, Chu Hen walked to the front courtyard of the martial house. On the way, many people were talking about the Star Elite competition tomorrow night. Sigh, it's time for the Star Elite Monarch Conference again. It's Tensei Prefecture's Newcomer Abuse Day. So be it. Anyways, I won't be going tomorrow night. That's right, even if I go, I will lose face. I might as well not go. When these words stopped in his ears, Chu Hen couldn't help but feel a little indescribable sorrow. Even though he was in the Tensei Prefecture, there were still too many people who linked their face with the martial house. Who knew that if the Tensei Prefecture lost face, the students in the academy would lose face even more. Junior apprentice brother Chu Hen, along with a familiar shout, two figures walked over. They were Haozi and Mu Feng. Senior apprentice brother Haozi. Chu Hen smiled, then couldn't help but be startled. He pointed at the other person's arm and said, "What's wrong with you?" Haozi's arm was wrapped in a thick bandage, which was needed to treat injuries. However, what made Chu Hen surprised was that the bandage was tied with two butterfly knots. Mu Feng, who was at the side, raised his eyebrows and said with a proud face, "Hee, how is it? My skills are not bad, right?" Chu Hen's forehead was immediately filled with black lines. Letting Mu Feng change Haozi's dressing was indeed a wrong choice. However, Haozi did not seem to mind as he said, "That senior brother Gu Qing has already helped me with the admission procedures. I am now a member of Tensei Prefecture." Chu Hen nodded. "As long as you don't mind." "How could that be? Tensei Prefecture used to be a great martial house, and the entrance examination for new students in Tensei Prefecture is not worse than that of Bright Moon Academy, so it's obvious that this place is not bad." "Hee, you're right, Mouse." Mu Feng patted Mouse's shoulder and said, "This place is indeed quite good, especially with Shilan, one of the 4 beauties of the imperial capital, and Bai Yue, one of the 6 pearls of the imperial capital. They are my little Fengfeng's ultimate goal." Chu Hen was both angry and amused at the same time. Every 3 sentences he would always talk about women. This Mu Feng was really something. While they were talking, there was a commotion on the other side of the plaza. He saw a middle-aged man dressed as a teacher pasting a piece of xian paper on the wall of a bulletin board. "What announcement is this?" Mu Feng muttered as he ran over to take a look. Chu Hen and Haozi also walked over curiously. The content of the announcement on the paper was about tomorrow's Star Sharp Monarch Conference. The general content was that tomorrow evening, the new students of Tensei Prefecture would head to Monarch Arrival Pavilion to exchange pointers with the new students of the various martial houses in the imperial capital. And here I thought it was something good. So it's to gain glory for the academy under the guise of an exchange. Mu Feng tilted his head and rolled his eyes a few times as he muttered to himself, "There should be quite a few beauties attending this Star Sharp Monarch Descends Association. Who knows, there might even be a few beauties who are head over heels for my handsomeness. That's right, the imperial capital is so big, there will definitely be a few who are knowledgeable. Junior brother Chu Hen, are you going to participate in this Star Sharp Monarch Conference?" Haozi suddenly asked. "Why?" "Well, I'm worried that He Chao and his brother will harm you, so..." Chu Hen only smiled and didn't say anything else. "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Near evening, Chu Hen returned to his residence after practicing his spear techniques for a while. Mu Feng and Haozi seemed to have gone out and didn't return. However, when Chu Hen pushed open the door to his room, a new junior brother shouted from outside the courtyard, "Senior brother Chu Hen, are you staying here?" "Who?" Chu Hen asked in surprise. "Senior brother Chu Hen." That person walked in and handed a piece of paper to Chu Hen. "Senior brother, just now outside, someone asked me to pass this to you." Chu Hen was slightly surprised. He received the piece of paper in confusion and asked, "Who is that person?" "I don't know. He's about the same age as you, and he said that you're from the same place." "About the same age, from the same place? Flame City of Rain?" Chu Hen squinted his eyes and was filled with curiosity. Chu Hen opened the piece of paper. There was only a short sentence on it. "Before the sky turns dark, we'll meet at the Fallen Leaf Lake in the West City. Old acquaintances from Flame City of Rain." "Old acquaintances from Flame City of Rain? Who?" Chu Hen lightly wrinkled his brows, and the confusion on his face became even stronger. Whose handwriting was this? He wasn't familiar with it. Had he seen it before? Chu Hen couldn't tell. However, to be honest, the moment Chu Hen saw the piece of paper in front of him, he recalled the time when he was wronged in Flame City of Rain. At that time, it was also a piece of paper, asking him to meet at the Maple Pavilion. He didn't expect that what happened later would become a mark that Chu Hen would never forget for the rest of his life. However, he could be sure that the piece of paper in front of him was not written by Yu. However, since that incident, it could be said that Chu Hen basically had no friends in Flame City of Rain. "Should I go? Is this another trap?" Looking at the hazy sky, Chu Hen was a little hesitant. In the evening, night began to fall, and the bustling streets of the Imperial City were lit up with dazzling lights. Fallen Leaf Lake in the West City. The scenery was pleasant and the shore breeze was cool. The willows by the lake were hanging by the lake and seemed to be dancing in the cool breeze. Fallen leaves fluttered and fell, creating circles of soft ripples on the surface of the lake. On the edge of the Fallen Leaves Lake, there was a magnificent restaurant. The restaurant was grand and luxurious, and under the illumination of the resplendent lights, it was resplendent and magnificent. Looking from afar, it looked like a palace that was situated here. The restaurant was called the Falling Moon Restaurant. It was one of the most famous and prosperous restaurants in the capital. Those who could go to the Falling Moon Restaurant were all nobles in the capital. The Falling Moon Restaurant was prosperous and luxurious. At this moment, in a small booth by the lake about 100 meters away from the Falling Moon Restaurant, Chu Hen drank fragrant tea and looked quietly at the surface of Loya Lake. The sky gradually darkened and many people gathered by the lakeside of the Falling Leaves Lake for a walk. When Chu Hen finished his third cup of tea, a young figure suddenly sat down opposite him. "It's better to drink less tea. It's easy to fall asleep at night." There was a hint of arrogance in the gentle voice. This was a handsome young man with a cold appearance. However, in Chu Hen's eyes, this face was familiar. "I don't usually sleep at night," Chu Hen answered. He looked at the other person with a firm gaze and his throat moved slightly. He spat out a few words clearly. "Young Master Liang, long time no see." Young Master Liang. Old acquaintance of Flaming Rain City. In the entire Flaming Rain City, there was only one person who could make Chu Hen call young Master Liang, and that was the eldest young master of the Liang family, Liang Yiming. Liang Yiming, an old acquaintance of Shaozong College. Together with Chu Hen, Yi Yu, and Lu Xiao, they were known as the four geniuses of Shaozong. "Haha, brother Chu, how have you been?" Liang Yiming laughed heartily. Looking at the smile on the other party's face, Chu Hen did not expect that the person who invited him here would be Liang Yiming. The two of them rarely crossed paths when they were at Shaozong College, let alone now. "Why did you ask me to come here?" Chu Hen asked. "I thought you would return to Flaming Rain City. I didn't expect you to go to Tensei Prefecture. However, if I had to choose, I would be the same as you. I would rather settle down in the worst college in the capital than go back and be a joke." Liang Yiming picked up the kettle next to him and poured a cup of tea in front of him. You didn't ask me to come here today to reminisce, did you? It seems like we have nothing to reminisce about. Ha ha. A faint smile appeared on Liang Yiming's face. He then pointed in the direction of the falling moon tower and said, Brother Chu, look over there, look over there? Chu Hen looked in the direction that the other party was pointing and saw a few young men and women in gorgeous clothes with extraordinary temperament walking towards the entrance of the falling moon tower. It's her? Chu Hen frowned. Although they were nearly 100 meters apart, Chu Hen still saw Yi Yu's figure at a glance. Yi Yu was dressed in a lavender dress. Her beautiful long hair draped over her shoulders, and she exuded a noble and elegant temperament. She was slim and graceful. Under the bright lights, she was particularly beautiful and moving. Beside Yi Yu, a young man with an extraordinary bearing was walking with her, trying to keep a distance from her. Suddenly, Chu Hen's pupils abruptly shrunk and an ice-cold chill quietly surged within his eyes. He suddenly discovered that there was a pattern on the back of the man's gorgeous clothes. The pattern was in the shape of a scorching sun. The pattern was extremely arrogant and looked like a golden wheel with its sharp teeth. Looking at the pattern, a layer of frost quickly spread on Chu Hen's face. Haha, Brother Chu is really unforgettable. Liang Yiming did not know what Chu Hen was thinking. He only thought that Chu Hen still liked Yi Yu and was angry when he saw Yi Yu with another man. In fact, in Chu Hen's eyes, Yi Yu was nothing. All of the friendship between the two of them had already vanished into thin air on the night when Chu Hen was framed. Liang Yiming smiled faintly when he saw that Chu Hen did not speak. That person is called Wei Qingfan. He is the first young master of the Wei clan and a well-known genius in the imperial capital. It is said that his strength has already reached the core transformation stage. As for which stage, I'm not too sure. The Wei clan is quite powerful in the imperial capital. If you want to know how strong they are, I can only say that they can easily destroy the general's mansion and my Liang clan. Chapter 59. Wei Qingfan, the Wei clan's eldest young master. He was a famous genius in the imperial city, and his cultivation had already reached the core transformation stage. The Wei clan was quite powerful in the imperial city, and the Blazing Rain City's general's estate behind Chu Hen was nothing in front of the Wei clan. Why are you telling me all this? Chu Hen asked coldly. You're going to participate in the Star Prodigy competition tomorrow night? Liang Yiming didn't answer his question. How about participating? So what if I don't participate? Liang Yiming smiled, then pointed in the direction of the falling moon pavilion again and said, That person in blue is called Ren Chong, and he's this year's newcomer king of Tifeng province. He's at the 3rd level of the origin opening stage, and he inherited the soul assimilating lock bloodline limit, which is called the soul lock battle physique. He can even fight against opponents at the 4th level of the origin opening stage. At this moment, Wei Qingfan, Yi Yu, and a few other young men and women had already walked to the entrance of the falling moon pavilion. The receptionist inside respectfully came out to greet them. Looking from afar, the man called Ren Chong walked beside Wei Qingfan, and the smile on his face was filled with pride and contentment. This Ren Chong's talent is extremely high, and his strength is extraordinary. Moreover, he has an extremely good relationship with Wei Qingfan. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he's this year's newcomer king of the high-ranked martial houses in the entire imperial city, and the only one that can compare to him is the Imperial Martial Academy's #1 newcomer, Shu Shuero. So, Chu Hen's gaze returned to Liang Yiming. So, if you want to live, it's best if you don't appear at the Monarch Arrival Pavilion tomorrow. Wei Qingfan has already instructed Ren Chong that once you participate in the Star Prodigy competition tomorrow, he'll complete the last step. The last step? Chu Hen's eyelids twitched and a faint coldness flashed in his eyes. I believe you still don't know why Lu Xiao framed you in Blazing Rain City, right? Liang Yiming said. A cold light flashed in Chu Hen's eyes, but he didn't say anything. It was Wei Qingfan's order, Liang Yiming continued. Oh. Chu Hen frowned slightly and replied indifferently, at that time, I didn't know Wei Qingfan at all. To be exact, I never knew him. Why would he want to harm me? You already have the answer in your heart. Why do you need me to say it out loud? Liang Yiming smiled lightly. It's Yi. That's right, Wei Qingfan has always been pursuing Yi, and you were a stumbling block between the two of them. Thus, Wei Qingfan let Lu Shao put on a good show. Your reputation will be ruined, and your future will be ruined. This way, Miss Yi can justifiably kick you away and make you have no face to follow her in the future. Chu Hen smiled. His smile was especially mocking. He was mocking himself as well as Yi. Was this the truth? Was this the reason why he was framed for no reason that night? That Yi thinks too highly of herself. As long as she says the word, will I, Chu Hen, still cling to her? Chu Hen sneered and felt a chill in his heart. He only had a good impression of Yi. It wasn't like he would cling to her and not let go, and it wasn't like he would insist that she didn't want anything. Why did he have to play so many tricks? But on second thought, this wasn't an unnecessary move by Wei Qingfan. His ultimate goal was to make sure that Chu Hen would never be able to turn over a new leaf and become a complete cripple. What kind of deep hatred did the other party have for him to set himself up like this? Could it be that in Wei Qingfan's eyes, it was enough as long as he was willing? This person, Wei Qingfan, is practically a household name in the imperial city. His personality was very strange. If someone had offended him or someone he wanted to deal with, he would not kill them directly. Instead, he would torture them and make them suffer. When the person had completely broken down, he would then deal a killing blow. As for what happened after that, I don't think I need to say more. The reason why you were rejected by all the high-ranked martial houses was all because of Wei Qingfan's manipulation. But Liang Yiming's voice paused, and he said with some doubt, I'm curious about one thing. How are you still alive? According to the way this matter developed, you shouldn't have had the chance to enter Tensei Prefecture. Then shouldn't Wei Qingfan arrange for your corpse to be strewn on the streets? Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. What a motherf asterisk cur, touching my sore spot. From Liang Yiming's point of view, since Wei Qingfan arranged for Renchong to get rid of Chu Hen tomorrow night, it meant that the other party already had the determination to kill Chu Hen. In comparison with Wei Qingfan's character, he should have made his move long ago. Do I have to tell you that I was chased by more than 20 assassins that night? Chu Hen cursed in his heart. Then, Chu Hen stared at Liang Yiming with a burning gaze, and his tone suddenly lowered. How do you know all this? How did Liang Yiming know all this? Moreover, he knew it in such detail? Receiving Chu Hen's suspicious gaze, Liang Yiming smiled disapprovingly. Last night I accidentally ran into Wei Qingfan and Renchong discussing this matter. With your cultivation level, you can eavesdrop on Wei Qingfan's conversation without being discovered? Chu Hen asked in a deep voice. Do you think I have to tell you that my bloodline has the ability to detect things from afar? The bloodline has the ability to detect things from afar? The suspicion in Chu Hen's eyes gradually disappeared. From Liang Yiming's expression and gaze, he could tell that Liang Yiming was not lying. However, there was still one thing that Chu Hen did not understand. Why did you tell me all this? This was the question that Chu Hen was concerned about. In the past, when they were in Shaozong College, the two of them did not have much of a relationship. Their relationship could not even be considered ordinary friends. Logically speaking, Liang Yiming did not have to tell him all this. Moreover, this matter involved Wei Qingfan, a genius that was not to be trifled with. All the more reason for Liang Yiming not to meddle in this matter. There are two reasons why I told you all this. A faint smile appeared on Liang Yiming's face. The first reason is that both you and I are from Flaming Rain City. I really can't bear to see you fall step by step into the trap that someone else has set up. Consider it a friendly reminder. Liang Yiming paused for a moment before he continued. Also, I feel that Brother Chu is not as simple as you look. I'll take this opportunity to do you a favor now. Who knows, when you achieve great success in the future, I might be able to befriend you, right? Of course, before that day comes, you need to preserve your life. Liang Yiming was very straightforward. Although he usually looked cold and callous, he was actually very shrewd. Back in Flaming Rain City, Chu Hen's 9 martial veins were shattered and the tendons in his hands and feet were destroyed. He thought his life was over. He did not expect that not only did he recover to his original state after 3 months, but his strength had also increased greatly. Who would believe that Chu Hen was just an ordinary person? In addition to the various things that happened in the capital these days, in Liang Yiming's eyes, he was still very optimistic about Chu Hen. Moreover, he had only told Chu Hen the inside story that he had unintentionally found out. This was a small matter that could be settled with just a few words. Even if it was because both of them were from Flaming Rain City, Liang Yiming could unconditionally be a good person for once. Hee, you won't tell others that it was me who told you about this, right? That would be a great loss for me, Liang Yiming said half-jokingly. After learning the whole story, Chu Hen stood up and turned to leave. I'll remember this favor of yours, that's right. Before Chu Hen could take a few steps, Liang Yiming reminded him. That young lady Yi Yao is also in Tifeng Province. Don't you plan to find time to meet her? Yi Yao is here too? Chu Hen stopped in his tracks. There was a hint of surprise between his brows. Did Wei Qingfan ask her to come? That's not it. It was Yi Yao, that Xiaoya, who entered Tifeng Province with her own ability. Liang Yiming also stood up and walked in front of Chu Hen. He patted his shoulder and said, She can't forget you, the person she once regarded as her brother-in-law. Don't ask me how I know. This afternoon, that young lady hesitated at the entrance of Tensei Prefecture for half an hour. In the end, she didn't dare to go in to look for you. Chu Hen wrinkled his eyebrows and an obscure fluctuation of emotions flashed through his eyes. Then, without saying another word, he left immediately. At night, Chu Hen walked alone on the wide street. For some reason, the sky started to drizzle. The cold rainwater dripped on his face, giving him an inexplicable chill. After learning the truth of the matter, the emotions in Chu Hen's heart were like the brewing lava of a volcano. Under the seemingly calm appearance, there was actually a tsunami of rage. Liang Yiming did not lie. At least more than 90% of what he said was trustworthy. This was something Chu Hen could be sure of. Chu Hen raised his right hand. His pupils reflected the token in his palm. The token was engraved with exquisite patterns. In the center, there was a picture of a scorching sun. This token was the token that Chu Hen found on the body of the leader of the assassins after he was ambushed in the middle of the night. And the scorching sun pattern on the token was exactly the same as the logo on Wei Qingfan's clothes. What was the truth? The answer was obvious. From Raging Rain City to the imperial capital, the series of things that happened to Chu Hen were all because of Wei Qingfan. And in the past, Chu Hen trusted Yi Yu the most. She was also a part of it. The raging flames were like the rising tide, rising into the sky. The veins on Chu Hen's arm burst. The golden token in his palm was forcefully twisted and deformed. The cold frost instantly covered his handsome face. The young man's outline actually became somewhat fierce. Chapter 60. After returning to Tensei Prefecture, Chu Hen entered his room alone and closed the door. What happened to this guy? Could it be that he was dumped by a woman? Outside the door, Mu Feng looked at Haozi with a puzzled expression. Don't make wild guesses. Junior brother Chu Hen might be a little tired after practicing martial arts for a whole day. I don't believe it. However, tomorrow is the Star Elite competition. This marshal is going to show off his skills. The reputation of Tensei Prefecture will depend on me. From then on, a golden scale will transform into a dragon, a beauty will fall in love with me, and I will walk to the peak of life. Ha 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 ha. Facing Mu Feng's neurotic appearance, Haozi also couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. There was probably no cure for this illness. It was almost midnight. In the silence, Chu Hen was immersed in a state of cultivation. Buzz buzz, cheerful and lively true origin energy continuously flowed from Chu Hen's dantian to all the major meridians in his body. A restless aura that fluctuated between strong and weak was constantly released from Chu Hen's body. The true origin energy faintly covered Chu Hen's body, emitting a slightly intoxicating halo in the darkness. Suddenly, an incomparably cold aura suddenly leaked out from Chu Hen's body. The temperature in the room plummeted to the freezing point. With Chu Hen as the center, a cloud of white mist faintly pervaded and rose. This is? Chu Hen was slightly startled. He hurriedly steadied his mind and used his divine sense to investigate the condition of his body. Subsequently, Chu Hen was surprised to find that his true origin energy was actually mixed with wisps of ice profound energy. At the position of his dantian, the true origin energy cyclone was circulating in an orderly manner. However, there was also a small white ice profound energy cyclone condensed in the true origin energy cyclone. Could this be the power contained in the Ice Moon Demon Wolf's spiritual origin liquid? Chu Hen was secretly surprised. He was no stranger to the energy fluctuations emitted by this white cyclone. Previously, in the underground palace of the blood-hunting dragon in the Boneless Mountain Range, Chu Hen was inadvertently injected with the blood essence of the blood-hunting dragon. In order to make Chu Hen suffer less pain, Xia Qing injected the original spiritual source fluid into Chu Hen's body. The Ice Moon Demonic Wolf's origin spiritual liquid contained an enormous amount of pure and powerful energy. The Ice Moon Demon Wolf absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, absorbed the essence of the moon, and used its own strength to condense the ice-attributed energy. In comparison, a drop of Ice Moon Demonic Wolf's source spiritual yuan liquid was far more precious than a drop of essence blood of the blood-hunting razorback dragon. Looking at the ball of ice profound energy mixed in the true essence cyclone, Chu Hen was both surprised and surprised. Under normal circumstances, once a person was assimilated with this mass of ice xian qi, they would most likely die. However, this ball of ice xian qi remained in Chu Hen's body obediently, which was naturally puzzling. It must be the power of the chaotic body and the sacred demonic pupil body that's suppressing it. Chu Hen thought back to what had happened in the underground palace, but he did not understand why. His top priority right now was to expel this ball of ice xian qi, or it might lead to some unknown accident in the future. However, just as Chu Hen was about to expel the ball of ice xian qi, a bold idea appeared in his head. Instead of expelling it, I might as well try to fuse it with my true energy. To fuse the power of his true yuan with the power of other attributes, to the current Chu Hen, this could not be said to be not daring. It had to be mentioned that the icy cyclone originated from the Beast King, the Ice Moon Demonic Wolf. It was on par with peak human void-piercing realm expert. If it was not handled properly, Chu Hen's meridians would be frozen into powder in an instant. Chu Hen naturally understood this, but after thinking about it for so many days, this ball of icy cyclone that remained in his body did not show any abnormalities, indicating that there must be some reason for it. It was not a bad idea to give it a try. Immediately, Chu Hen tried to use a wisp of true energy to touch the ball of ice xian qi while operating his true energy. The moment the two intersected, a wisp of ice xian qi instantly intersected with the power of true energy. A bone-chilling power immediately filled Chu Hen's body, and the sharp extreme cold extended towards all major meridians. No, Chu Hen was shocked and subconsciously mobilized the power of the demon pupil. Immediately, a strange purple power integrated into the power of true energy. When the power of the sacred demonic pupil body was integrated, the ball of ice Xian Qi immediately became docile and peaceful. The power of the sacred body was really powerful. Chu Hen was surprised and happy. It seemed that the main reason why he was safe these days was that the ball of ice Xian Qi was suppressed by the sacred demonic pupil body and the chaotic body. When I completely tame this ball of ice Xian Qi, I can integrate it into the power of true energy. In the process of fighting with others, there will be another big killing move. Chu Hen secretly thought. Immediately, with the help of the sacred demonic pupil body, Chu Hen began to integrate the ice Xian Qi with the power of true energy. Unconsciously, the temperature in the whole room became cold and cold. Time passed minute by minute. Chu Hen had forgotten the time, and the door of the room was always closed. It's already noon, why hasn't junior brother Chu Hen come out yet? Haozi stood outside the door of Chu Hen's room, his face revealing a bit of confusion. Who cares about him? Mu Feng was holding a big roasted chicken in his hand, eating it with relish. If he doesn't go to Xingrui Monarch Descent Association, I, Mu Feng, will laugh at the heroes tonight. Haozi shook his head and thought to himself, it's good that junior brother Chu Hen doesn't go, that He Chao might think of some way to deal with him. In the blink of an eye, it was already afternoon. The new geniuses of the various martial academies in the imperial city began to prepare and set off. In the room, Chu Hen sat on the bed motionlessly, like a rock. Strands of true energy lingered around his body, gorgeous like a thin layer of gauze. And within the envelopment of the true energy, a faint white ice Xian Qi could be faintly seen. Buzz, suddenly, the previously calm true energy instantly became chaotic and agitated. A strong aura that surpassed the second level of the Tongyuan realm exploded from within Chu Hen's body. Invisible waves of air caused the tables, chairs, cupboards, everything in the room to shake, and the chaotic aura burst forth wantonly. Immediately after, Chu Hen opened his eyes and a bewitching purple light flickered like a ray. With a shout, Chu Hen raised his hand and pushed out his palm. A white ray of true energy flew out from his palm and landed on the round table in front of him. Buzz! The white palm energy hit the round table, and in the next moment a cold air spread out. Chapter 61. Buzz! A circle of true essence emitting a soft white light came out of Chu Hen's palm and attacked the round table. An icy cold air spread out, and in an instant, the entire table was covered in a thick layer of frost. Looking at the scene before him, a satisfied smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. I didn't think that fusing with this ball of mysterious ice energy would allow me to break through to the third level of the element opening realm. Of course, this breakthrough did not come as a surprise to Chu Hen. Previously in the Boneless Mountain Range, Chu Hen had not completely absorbed the energy contained in the blood-hunting dragon's essence blood and the ice moon demon wolf's spiritual yuan liquid. There was still a portion of it remaining in his body. Furthermore, he had already reached the peak of the second level of the element opening realm when he returned from the Boneless Mountain Range. It was only a matter of time before he broke through again. However, what made Chu Hen pleasantly surprised was that tonight's Rising Star Monarch Conference was just ahead of tonight's. This made Chu Hen even more confident about tonight's Rising Star Monarch Conference. Half an hour later, at the main entrance of the Tensei Prefecture. He's here. Senior Chu Hen is here. Approximately 50 or so new disciples from the Tensei Prefecture gathered together anxiously. Seeing the appearance of Chu Hen and Mu Feng, the atmosphere of the crowd instantly became livelier. See, I knew that Senior Chu Hen would definitely participate. Li Hui, who was standing at the front of the crowd, said excitedly. Zhou Lu pursed her lips and replied unhappily, even if he went, it would be useless. There are so many genius disciples from the other high-ranked martial houses. We would still be humiliated. Senior Chu Hen even knocked Senior Wu Zhe down from the wooden stake array yesterday. Li Hui retorted. Anyone could see that Senior Wu Zhe did not use his full strength. Anyway, I believe in Senior Chu-hen. The Star Sharp Monarch Descends Association was originally organized by the new and talented disciples of the various martial houses. The instructors of the academy would not act as the leaders, but the high level of the martial house would arrange for several outstanding new students to act as the leaders. Senior Brother Chu-hen, Teacher Song Ching has arranged for you and Lin Tao to be the team leaders this year. However, Lin Tao has refused to participate in the Star Sharp Monarch Descent Conclave. Therefore, all of us have been waiting for you. Li Hui stepped forward and said. Lin Tao is not participating? Chu-hen was slightly astonished. He looked at the 50-odd new students in front of him and couldn't help but shake his head inwardly. This number was less than 1/10 of the total number of recruits this year. It seemed that in the eyes of the majority of the new disciples of the Heavenly Star Martial House, the so-called Elite Stars Monarch Descent Association was a minefield that could not be touched. If one wanted to be safe and sound, it was better to stay far away from it. F***ck, it can't be. Only this many people? Mu Feng directly said what he was thinking. Li Hui laughed awkwardly. This is only because Senior Sister Zhou Lu and I tried our best to persuade them to come. Last year, our Tensei Prefecture only had 30-odd people who participated in the Star Sharp Monarch Assembly, AI. Mu Feng shook his head and sighed. Uncle, in terms of aura, it's already so weak. After hearing what Mu Feng said, everyone became even more embarrassed. Chu-hen glanced at Mu Feng and said unhappily, Don't we have you, the most handsome under heaven? It's all up to you tonight. Hearing this, Mu Feng immediately glared at Chu-hen. His eyes were filled with disdain. F***ck, it's easier said than done. There are so many high-ranked martial houses in the imperial capital, but they're all given to me. Wouldn't their kidneys be damaged? Chu-hen no longer cared about Mu Feng's complaint. Since Teacher Song Ching had given him the task of leading the team, then he not only represented himself, but also the entire Tensei Prefecture. Fellow seniors and juniors, no matter what others think of our Tensei Prefecture, at least we won't hide in our homes and not come out. No matter what awaits us next, as long as we try our best, we won't let ourselves down. Everyone's hearts lit up, and they unconsciously clenched their fists. Their eyes were burning with passion. Display the Star Sharp, the Rising Edge. Star Sharp, the Monarch Descends Association. Let's go. Go Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other new students all raised their arms and cheered. Soon after, under Chu-hen's lead, they headed in the direction of the Monarch Descends Pavilion. The Monarch Descends Pavilion. Located in the busiest area in the central part of the imperial city, the grand and imposing three-story pavilion was like a luxurious palace. The glazed bricks and tiles, the high walls and the courtyard, and the dazzling and aesthetically pleasing lights illuminated the Monarch Arrival Pavilion. The area within a radius of over a kilometer was as bright as day. In the south direction of the Monarch Descends Pavilion, there was a large square in front of it, and a magnificent arena had been built there. The arena was more than 50 meters long and wide, and there were steps around it. On the center of the arena, the words Star Sharp were drawn with bold strokes, and the strokes showed off their sharpness. Tables and chairs were set up around the arena, and the new and talented students of the various martial houses took their seats according to the corresponding seating area. At this moment, the new and talented students of the various martial houses in the imperial city had already arrived one after another. A few young ladies of the Monarch Descends Pavilion greeted them in a refined and courteous manner. Hello, the seats for the Thunder Martial House are over there. Please follow me. Lingyun Academy? Your seats are over here. Welcome, all the talented students. Please forgive us if we haven't received you well. A long line of young students came from all directions of the imperial city to the Monarch Descends Pavilion. All the talented students were in high spirits, and they were in their prime. They were like the stars in the night sky, bright and shining. Every year at this time, the monarch descends pavilion would attract countless guests. However, these guests could only sit in the designated area for the audience. Some of the upper-class nobles, who had quite a bit of status and power, were all sitting in the private seats near the windows on the second and third floor of the Junlai pavilion. They were drinking tea and enjoying desserts, waiting for tonight's battle between the newcomers and the star elites. As time passed, the arrival of the new and talented students of the various martial houses had already set off all kinds of high-spirited atmosphere. Especially when Rhinoceros, Giant Elephant, Bright Moon. These were the 5 most famous martial houses' new geniuses. Their arrival set off a wave of jubilation. "It's He Chao, look at the Bright Moon Academy. I heard that He Chao's strength has already reached the 2nd level of the element opening realm. It can't be? So fast?" It's absolutely true. In just 2 months, he went from the 9th level of the channel opening realm to the 2nd level of the element opening realm. As expected of a genius with the spiritual sword battle body bloodline limit. There's also the Giant Elephant Martial House. Yuchenyu, it's Miss Yuchenyu. I heard that Miss Yuchenyu's strength also had a big breakthrough. Miss Yuchenyu is one of the 6 pearls of our imperial city. Not only is she beautiful, but her talent is also so high. Whoever can chase after her can really be called a winner in life. Amidst the lively cheers, the geniuses of the Giant Elephant, Bright Moon, and Spirit Rhino academies took their seat. Of the 5 great academies in the imperial city, only the Imperial Style Academy was left, and the Imperial Martial Academy had yet to appear. Of course, there was also the Tensei Prefecture that many people were concerned about. Do you think that the people from the Tensei Prefecture will come this year? What are they doing here? Looking for a beating? I remember last year, the Tensei Prefecture was beaten half to death by the Falcon Martial House's new disciples. I also remember. At that time, the Falcon Martial House's new disciples said that if the Heavenly Star dared to come, they would ruthlessly beat them up. What a disgrace! They're here. The people from the Tensei Prefecture are actually here. They really dare to come and look for a beating. And the people from the Tifeng province are here too. Boom! The teams from the Tensei Prefecture and the Tifeng province appeared at the same time. This was a little dramatic. One was a high-ranked martial house that everyone admired, while the other was the lowest-ranked academy. The 2 teams met at the same time, immediately forming an extremely sharp contrast. There are so many people from the Tensei Prefecture? Indeed, there are quite a lot. It seems like there are more than a dozen more than last year. Look at this situation. Is the Tensei Prefecture going to rise this year? Amidst the mocking voices, the 2 teams from the Heavenly Star Academy and the Imperial Wind Academy arrived at the entrance of the plaza in front of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion at almost the same time. Big Brother Chu Hen, a gentle and somewhat weak voice, immediately touched a certain chord in the depths of Chu Hen's heart. Chu Hen raised his eyes and looked over, only to see 2 familiar silhouettes in front of the Emperor Wind Martial House's team. The 2 daughters of the Yi family in the Flame of Rain City, Yi Yu and Yi Yao. To suddenly meet under such circumstances, Chu Hen seemed to be a little surprised. "Little Yao, long time no see." Chu Hen smiled slightly, a gentle expression on his face. Chu Hen's smile was still the same as before, as gentle as a brother's. Yi Yao's big eyes couldn't help but show a trace of surprise. She subconsciously looked at Yi Yu beside her. However, there was no expression on Yi Yu's pretty face. She didn't even look at Chu Hen directly. So this is the Flame of Rain City's prodigy Chu Hen? How disrespectful! Suddenly, along with a mocking laugh, a young man with a playful smile on his face slowly walked forward. The moment this person appeared, the atmosphere immediately ignited. "Ren Chong, it's Ren Chong. The rookie king of Defeng. I really admire him. I personally saw Ren Chong fight with the 4th level natal opening realm Wuxiu, and he wasn't at a disadvantage. Amazing. This year, Tifeng Province will most likely be able to suppress Imperial Martial Academy and take back the crown they lost last year. Is there even a need to say it? With Ren Chong here, what can't we do? A reader brother asked about this book's cultivation techniques and martial techniques. That brother felt that the two should be separated. Here, I will give a simple explanation. Cultivation techniques and martial techniques, in this book, I have generalized them together. No matter if it is cultivation techniques, offensive martial techniques, or defensive martial techniques, I have directly defined all three as martial techniques. Some martial skills can change the attribute of the true yuan in one's body, some martial skills can condense true yuan into a sure kill technique, and some martial skills can make one's defense invulnerable. In other words, there is no specific cultivation method, nor is there a single one, nor is it irreplaceable. For the low-level wuxiu to cultivate high-level martial skills, it has a supportive effect on his cultivation. Whether it is cultivation methods or martial skills, offensive martial skills, or defensive martial skills, they can all be used in battle, so I might as well generalize them as martial skills. I don't know if my brothers will be dissatisfied with this setting. But this dot is just a small dot, I hope my brothers can figure it out. After all, a novel is its own world. A novel written by someone else is a world created by someone else. And a novel written by me is a world created by me. In the world of my novel, you don't have to be the same as others. However, I am still very happy that my brothers can raise questions and interact with me. No matter what questions you have, you can leave them in the book review section. After I see them, I will reply to them one by one. Chapter 62. When the newcomer king of Tifeng Province, Ren Chong, appeared, the atmosphere in Junlai Pavilion became unusually restless. Countless people looked at Ren Chong with approval in their eyes. However, at this moment, Ren Chong was looking at Chu Hen in front of him with a playful expression. His tone was full of mockery, especially when he said the words "great prodigy Chu," which were especially ear-piercing. "Do I know you that well?" Chu Hen replied coldly. "Not familiar, not familiar." A cynical smile appeared on the corners of Ren Chong's mouth. "But I've long heard of great prodigy Chu's deeds. At that time, he attempted to molest a young girl in Flaming Rain City. And in the entire Imperial City, only the Heavenly Star Martial House would want you." "What? Attempted to molest a young lady?" As soon as he said this, everyone couldn't help but look at Chu Hen. Even Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other newcomers from Tensei Prefecture were extremely surprised. Chu Hen was actually this kind of person? No. Yi Yao hurriedly defended Chu Hen. Brother Chu Hen was framed. This matter has already been investigated. Brother Chu Hen was framed. The soft voice seemed to be especially insignificant in this huge square. But to Chu Hen, this voice was extremely warm. Ren Chong still didn't take it seriously. He turned to the side and said to Yi Yu, "Junior sister Yi Yu, no matter what, we are from the same place. Why don't you greet him when you see him?" Yi Yu raised her eyelids slightly and glanced at Chu Hen indifferently. She said indifferently, "I don't know him well, there's nothing to say. I don't know him well." It was just a few simple words, but it was filled with disdain. Her indifferent expression was a complete disregard. Even so, Chu Hen could still feel a bit of pity from the other party's indifferent glance. That's right, it was pity. Not only was Chu Hen rejected by Tifeng Province, but he was also rejected by nearly 30 high-ranked martial houses in a row. As a result, he could only hide in a bottom-tier college like Tensei Prefecture. This was like the pity the nobles felt towards the beggars on the street. Regardless of how Chu Hen had shocked everyone and defeated Lu Xiao in Flaming Rain City, Chu Chern had not been able to defeat Lu Xiao. But now, Yi Yu and Chu Hen were standing on two different levels. Moreover, many people knew that the famous genius of Tifeng Province, Wei Qingfan, was pursuing Yi Yu. This series of superior auras made Yi Yu look down on Chu Hen again. Pity. A word that was even more hurtful than sympathy. Chu Hen stared coldly at Yi Yu's indifferent face. His throat moved slightly as he spat out a few words clearly and heavily. Remember what you said today. Remember what you said today. The young man's face was full of pride and determination. Yi Yu acted as if she did not hear it. She was as arrogant as a princess surrounded by people. Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao bit her red lips and murmured softly. Her knitted eyebrows showed that she could not bear to see him. Haha, since you are not familiar with him, then don't waste time, Ren Chong teased. Immediately, Yi Yu did not take another look at Chu Hen. Together with the new geniuses of the Emperor Wind Martial House, she took the lead and entered the front courtyard of the monarch arrival pavilion. Yi Yao looked at Chu Hen with misty eyes. However, Chu Hen merely gave her a faint smile, indicating that there was no problem. However, under Chu Hen's calm smile, an endless coldness surged through his body. Liang Yiming, who was in the Tifeng province team, shook his head helplessly as he looked at Chu Hen. Yesterday, he had clearly reminded Chu Hen not to appear at the monarch arrival conference. However, Ren Chong still came. Before the conference even started, Chu Hen had already been invisibly humiliated by Ren Chong. Later on, something that would make people sigh would happen. Forget it. I have already told him all that. Whether he dies in Ren Chong's hands today has nothing to do with me. Liang Yiming thought to himself. Brother-in-law, that guy is so arrogant. I will help you beat him up later. Mu Feng patted Chu Hen's shoulder and comforted him. Chu Hen did not say anything. He only led the team behind him towards the seats of Tensei Prefecture. Senior Mu Feng, Ren Chong is at the 3rd level of the elemental opening realm. Li Hui reminded. Mu Feng's expression froze for a moment. Then, he chuckled and said, Then, I will send you to beat him up. I believe in your abilities. Sigh, if I can beat Ren Chong up, do I still need to stand here? Before the Star Arrival Conference started, Tensei Prefecture had already received a round of blows. What made people feel helpless was that the seats of Tensei Prefecture's students were actually in the corner. There were really not many people who looked up to Tensei Prefecture. The successive setbacks caused the confident crowd, who had come with their arms raised and cheered loudly, to immediately lose their confidence. All of them were like frosted eggplants, listless. The seats of Bright Moon School. Humph, I didn't expect that bastard to really dare to come. He Xian said as he looked at Chu Hen with a fierce and cold expression. He Chao, who was at the side, smiled indifferently and stroked his chin with his right hand. Isn't this just what we wanted? Big brother, later on you have to properly torture him before killing him. He Chao smiled without saying anything, but a sinister light flashed in his cold eyes. The Imperial Martial Academy's team is here. Along with a cry of surprise, a high-spirited team could be seen approaching from afar. The entire Monarch Arrival Pavilion was in an uproar. The momentum of this team surpassed that of the other 4 high-ranked martial houses. The Imperial Martial Academy was ranked first among the 5 most famous high-ranked martial houses. There was no doubt about its popularity. Sigh. It would be great if we could be so welcomed. A young student of the Heavenly Star Martial House secretly sighed. Beauty, beauty. Mu Feng opened his eyes wide and stretched his neck, not afraid of making a fool of himself. Wah haha, it's Shu Shuero, one of the 6 pearls. TSK, she's really beautiful. Senior brother Mu Feng, can you take it easy? Li Hui helplessly shook his head. The Tensei Prefecture had already suffered enough today, they could not continue to lose face. Under the gazes of the crowd, the Imperial Martial Academy's team was led by 2 young geniuses, a man and a woman. The man had a refined and handsome appearance, and he held a paper fan in his hand. He had a graceful bearing and revealed a trace of scholarly aura. As for the woman, she wore a long white dress. Her facial features were beautiful, and her long hair was tied up with a beautiful hairpin. Her beautiful eyes were as clear as water, revealing a gentle and beautiful appearance. "That's Yang Yute, even he came. Some time ago, I heard that Yang Yute went out to gain experience. I thought he wouldn't be able to make it to this year's Star Elite Monarch Descent meeting. With the two of them from the Imperial Martial Academy, Renchong from Tifeng Province should be under a lot of pressure." "It should be. But with the Imperial Martial Academy's style, they most likely won't bully the few with numbers." Renchong, Yang Yute, Shu Shuero. These three people were the three most popular geniuses in the imperial capital's high-ranked martial houses. Their strength had already surpassed most of the old students. Among the three geniuses, the Imperial Martial Academy occupied two of them. This was sufficient to show where its charm lay. It was unknown if it was intentional or if it was a coincidence, but the seats for the Tifeng Province and the Imperial Martial Academy were in adjacent areas. Before Yang Yute sat down, his gaze directly swept towards Renchong. Although he didn't say anything, his gaze contained a trace of faint meaning. Renchong smiled faintly, and directly returned a frivolous and provocative gaze. No matter when, geniuses that were too dazzling would involuntarily start a confrontation. On the side of Tensei Prefecture, Mu Feng was already standing on his chair, and even half of his foot was almost on the table. Li Huiyi, Zhou Lu, and the rest of the Tensei Prefecture's students all had darkened faces. All of them stood far away, afraid that they would be taken as lunatics by others. Beside Mu Feng, only Chu Hen remained indifferent. With Ren Chong's provocation and Yi Yu's attitude, it was impossible to say that Chu Hen didn't have any mood swings. But the one that Chu Hen hated even more was the person hiding behind the scenes, who thought that he was in control of everything. AI Chu Hen. Mu Feng stretched out his hand and waved it in front of Chu Hen, but his attention was actually on the Imperial Martial Academy's side. "Do you think Imperial Martial Academy's Yu Chenyu is more beautiful, or Mammoth Martial House's Yu Chenyu is more beautiful? Are you talking about me?" Suddenly, a voice that was as sweet as a silver bell sounded out. This sudden voice caused Mu Feng to immediately be startled. He abruptly turned his head around, and a slender and elegant young lady with a delicate face was imprinted into his eyes. F*CK Yu Chenyu. My. Caught off guard, Mu Feng didn't even finish his words, and directly fell off his chair in fright. Yu Chenyu was amused, and giggled. Her red lips curled up, revealing her white teeth. She was beautiful and moving. Without saying anything further, Mu Feng quickly climbed up as if nothing had happened, and revealed a confident smile. Cough cough, Miss Yu, this one is Mu Feng. I was rude just now, I hope Miss Yu can forgive me. May I ask Miss Yu, are you looking for me? The surrounding Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others all felt disdain, and secretly cursed. Only blind people would come looking for you. Yu Chenyu smiled, and her beautiful eyes turned to look at Chu Hen. So you're in Tensei Prefecture. I've been looking for you for the past 2 months. Hearing this, the smile on Mu Feng's face immediately froze. A gust of cold wind blew past, and even his heart felt cold. It was Chu Hen again. Previously, it was Long Xuanxuang, one of the 4 beauties of the imperial capital, and now it was Yu Chenyu, one of the 6 pearls. Mu Feng secretly cursed. How much money did this guy Chu Hen owe? Miss Yu, is there something you need from me? Chu Hen smiled politely, but from his tone, it could be seen that he wasn't in a good mood. Why didn't you go to the giant elephant martial house? Yu Chenyu simply sat down next to Chu Hen, and this seat was previously occupied by Mu Feng. The latter was directly ignored. It's a long story. Chu Hen shook his head, and didn't want to talk about this matter. However, the scene of Yu Chenyu walking to Chu Hen's side and talking to him was seen by many people. That person is? Yi Yao opened her big and cute eyes, and then glanced at Yi Yu beside her. Yi Yu's eyes faintly revealed a trace of obscure and complicated fluctuations. Renchong involuntarily narrowed his eyes, and the coldness between his brows continuously surged. Chapter 63. Junlai Pavilion was ablaze with lights and looked very imposing. The place illuminated by the resplendent lights was as bright as day. More than 6,000 people had gathered in the huge arena. Almost all of the talented new students from the various high-ranked martial houses had arrived. The atmosphere in the arena could be said to be a boiling cauldron of voices. Star Elite Competition, Newcomer Assembly. The ones that attracted the most attention were none other than the Imperial Wind Martial House, Bright Moon Martial House, Mammoth Martial House, Spiritual Rhino Martial House, and Imperial Martial House. These were the 5 great martial houses. Apart from them, the Heavenly Star Martial House was next. However, what everyone cared about was whether or not the Heavenly Star Martial House was still at the bottom. Previously, when Tensei Prefecture and Tifeng Province came to Junlai Pavilion at the same time, there was already a sharp contrast. Under the suppression of Tifeng Province's momentum, Tensei Prefecture was invisibly humiliated. As for the leader, Chu Hen, he was provoked by Ren Chong and looked down upon by Yu. However, at this moment, what was rather surprising was that Yu Chenyu of the Mammoth Martial House actually took the initiative to chat with Chu Hen. This scene could not help but be more surprising. I didn't expect that guy to be acquainted with the beloved daughter of the Western Sea Great General. Ren Chong narrowed his eyes, a cold and fierce air surging between his brows. Then, he sneered, even if you were acquainted with the Empire's princess, I would still let you be carried away today, not to mention that you are acquainted with Yu Chenyu. The cold light in Ren Chong's eyes was fleeting. Under Yi Yu's calm expression, there was a faint ripple. But she quickly regained her composure. As arrogant as Yi Yu was, she would not change her opinion of Chu Hen just because he was acquainted with someone. Moreover, Yi Yu had always known that Wei Qingfan had not even shown her face, yet Chu Hen was rejected by all the high-ranked martial houses. It could almost be said that he had no foothold in the imperial capital. Only the worst schools like Tensei Prefecture are suitable for you. You are completely incomparable to Wei Qingfan. Yi Yu's lips curled into an indifferent smile. Previously, I thought that you would be at the Mammoth Martial House. Who would have thought that you would go to Heavenly Star in the end? This is truly unexpected. Yu Chenyu sat beside Chu Hen, completely ignoring the strange gazes of the surrounding people. Chu Hen smiled. I didn't expect Miss Chenyu to miss me so much. Of course, Yu Chenyu said. I didn't expect you to help me so much. Yu Chenyu said. Yu Chenyu. You the help that Yu Chenyu spoke of was referring to the time during the Mammoth Martial House's entrance test. You and with, you and as Chu Chen as you as Chen and as Chu and Chu as with, as Chu as with as and as of. But Chu Hen firmly shook his head. No need, I'm fine in Tensei Prefecture. Seeing the determination in Chu Hen's eyes, Yu Chenyu pursed her red lips. She hesitated, but did not say it again. All right then. I heard that the Heavenly Star Martial House's instructor Shilan is a peerless beauty that can cause the downfall of nations. Is this true? I haven't seen teacher Shilan yet. Chu Hen replied. In my eyes, teacher Shilan is not as beautiful as you, Miss Chenyu. Mu Feng saw the situation and quickly interrupted. However, at the same time, the atmosphere gradually calmed down. All the new and talented students from the high-ranked martial houses had arrived. The Rising Star Monarch Conference was about to begin. A middle-aged man wearing luxurious clothes walked up to the arena in the middle of the square with a smile on his face. The Rising Star Monarch Conference is about to begin. I'll go back first. Yu Chenyu faintly smiled at Chu Hen, then left the Heavenly Star Martial Houses group and returned to the Giant Elephant Martial Houses seating area. Mu Feng was once again ignored by the side. A cool breeze blew past. Mu Feng tilted his head and looked at Chu Hen. Are you as handsome as me? I'm not even 1/10 as handsome as you. Chu Hen lazily replied. You're not as handsome as me. Why does Miss Yuchinyu only look at you and not talk to me? Because you're too handsome. She's too embarrassed to look at you. And Mu Feng nodded his head in agreement. That's right. I little Feng like people who speak the truth the most. Later on, if you don't like anyone, just tell me and I'll help you cut them down. Of course, this is only limited to those below the elemental opening stage. Not far away, Li Hui, Zhou Lu and the other Tensei Prefecture disciples shook their heads and sighed. They felt that sitting together with Mu Feng was not just shameful, but completely shameful. Welcome to the Monarch Arrival Pavilion, geniuses. My surname is Yao, and I'm the chief steward of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion. A middle-aged man dressed in luxurious embroidered clothes walked onto the stage and politely cupped his fists towards the surrounding geniuses of the various high-ranked martial houses. We're indebted to the higher-ups of the various high-ranked martial houses. Every year at this time, the geniuses of the various high-ranked martial houses are invited to come here to exchange pointers and learn from each other. If there's anything that's not satisfactory, I hope that all the geniuses will forgive us. The audience burst into enthusiastic applause. There were also many young students who responded simply out of courtesy. Steward Yao waved his hand. His calm gaze swept across Renchong, Shu Shuero, Yang Yute, He Chao, Yu Chenyu and the other geniuses. Soon after, he laughed. Haha, I believe that not many people are willing to listen to a meddlesome fellow like me spout nonsense. Then, I'll leave this arena to all of you. As for the star competition, our Monarch Arrival Pavilion will not participate in any way. As for how to exchange pointers and what the rules are, it's all up to all of you to decide. However, I still hope that all of you can stop when it's appropriate and not harm the harmony. Haha. As soon as Steward Yao finished speaking, he retreated to the side of the arena, raised his hands high up, and spoke with a loud and passionate voice. The star competition for supremacy, the first light of the star competition. I hope that all the geniuses will be able to shine brightly on this arena. I declare that the star competition begins now. This arena will be left to all of you to decide. After he finished speaking, Steward Yao retreated from the arena. Then, he returned to the area where the spectators were spectating. Over the years, the star competition had always been like this. The Monarch Arrival Pavilion was only responsible for providing the arena, and did not care about anything else. It was all up to the new geniuses of the various high-ranked martial houses to control the rules and situation of the competition. It was precisely because there were no fixed rules and restrictions. All the new geniuses in the arena released their passionate emotions to their heart's content. The Star Competition for Supremacy, the first light of the Star Competition for Supremacy. Imperial Martial Academy will win and seize first place again. Senior brother Renchong is mighty. Today, Tifeng Province will be crowned king. The passionate atmosphere was like a tsunami that swept out in all directions. The entire arena was filled with thunderous applause and loud cheers. In the next instant, a young figure nimbly leaped onto the arena like a cheetah. This person wore a badge with a lightning pattern on the chest of his clothes. Du Fei of the Thunder Martial House is here. Who dares accept my challenge? Simple and direct, young and arrogant, without the slightest bit of restraint. Is the Thunder Martial House that amazing? Lingyun Academy, Lu Gan, accept my challenge. Similarly, a young and arrogant voice sounded. A comparatively thinner man walked out from the Lingyun Academy's group, and without saying a word, he directly flashed onto the arena. On the arena, the two people faced each other. The atmosphere of the crowd below the arena was high. Du Fei, you can do it. Lu Gan, you'll win. Kick that guy off the arena. You must win the first battle and seize a good start. The Thunder Martial House and Lingyun Academy's groups were in high spirits as they cheered for the two people on the arena. Heh, a trash like you dares to clamor in front of me? Du Fei of the Thunder Martial House moved his mind, and a blazing fireball immediately appeared in his palm. A scorching wave of air spread out in all directions with Du Fei at the center. Many of the people below the stage revealed looks of amazement. Hee. Lu Gan of the Lingyun Academy sneered disdainfully. It's just a flame martial physique. What's there to be proud of? Buzz. Before he finished speaking, a dagger flashing with a cold light appeared in Lu Gan's hand. At the same time, a wave of true yuan burst out from his body. Whoosh! Lu Gan immediately left his spot and charged towards Du Fei at an extremely fast speed. Prepare to accept defeat. Humph, don't be too proud. A cold light flashed in Du Fei's eyes. With a wave of his hand, the flames in his palm danced forward, setting off a scorching wave of air that blasted towards Lu Gan's face. Lu Gan was not the least bit afraid. He released the true yuan in his body and quickly climbed onto the dagger in his hand. He chopped down with a backhand, and the fireball in front of him was directly split in the middle. With this little strength, you can't even roast a mouse. Humph, I'm roasting a stupid mouse like you. Immediately after, Du Fei quickly took out a short knife and chopped towards his opponent's head. Ding! Lu Gan's dagger blocked the knife, and a series of sparks flew in the air. The weapons in the two's hands clashed head-on, and the blades intersected. Hidden energy collided, and the true yuan collided. The veins on the two's arms popped out. Go Du Fei, Thunder Martial House will win. Lu Gan, kick him down. The victory belongs to our Lingyun Academy. Bang! After that, accompanied by a heavy explosion, a circle of scattered true essence energy burst out from between the two of them. As Du Fei retreated with the short knife in his hand, a fierce fireball condensed in his palm. With a thought, he pushed the fireball out and attacked his opponent once again. Phoenix Rain Flame! Du Fei lightly shouted. Bang! In an instant, the fireball blossomed like fireworks, turning into a dozen or so fireballs about half a meter in diameter. The scorching heat waves filled the stage, and the faces of the people below the stage turned red from the heat. The dozen or so fireballs were like meteors. Many people below the stage were secretly shocked. They were afraid that this move would defeat Lingyun Academy's Lu Gan. Chapter 64. Phoenix Rain Flower. Following Du Fei's shout, the fireball that was flying towards Lu Qian suddenly blossomed. A dozen or so fireballs with a diameter of more than half a meter were like fiery stones flying from the sky, enveloping Lu Qian in a large area. Beautifully done, Du Fei! The Thunder Martial House newcomers excitedly exclaimed. Facing such a powerful attack, Lingyun Academy's Lu Gan disdainfully sneered. Surging true essence power was released, and in the next instant, a biting cold gust of wind followed. The airflow in the arena became chaotic in an instant. Under the astonished gazes of the audience, with Lu Gan at the center, more than a dozen condensed wind blades appeared. Every wind blade was light green in color, and they were as sharp as the shadow of a sword. Wind martial body? No wonder his speed is so fast, so it's the wind martial body. The crowd below the stage revealed looks of amazement on their faces. Whoosh! Under Lu Gan's control, the wind blades that lingered around his body tore through the air and collided head-on with the fireball that was flying towards him. The wind blades and the fireball collided. Boom! In an instant, the entire arena was set off in a meteor shower. The collisions of energy caused waves of hot air to spread out on the stage. Everyone's complexion was illuminated by the golden light. Chaotic quintessence rose up wantonly. It had to be said that the battle between Thunder Martial House's Du Fei and Lingyun Academy's Lu Gan was quite entertaining. Both of them were at the peak of the 9th level of the channel opening realm. Moreover, they were quite adept at using the power of their bloodline. As soon as the two sides clashed, it attracted the attention of the audience. These two fellows are really fierce. Mu Feng crossed his legs and leaned against the back of the chair. He didn't look like he was sitting at all. Li Hui secretly shook his head. Sigh, although they are newcomers, they are still top young geniuses. Besides senior brother Chu Hen, I think our beauties can beat them. Who said that? Mu Feng replied unhappily, believe it or not, this handsome Mu Feng can easily smash their balls. Bah! Pervert! Zhou Lu's eyes widened as she glared at Mu Feng. Ahem, what did I say? I forgot. Mu Feng grinned mischievously and said. Chu Hen nonchalantly watched as sparks flew from Du Fei and Lu Qian's fight on the stage. As he watched, Chu Hen could sense different gazes from the other seating areas from time to time. There was a cold provocation. There were also slightly complicated ones. There was also playfulness and disdain. Chu Hen completely disregarded these peculiar gazes. The Star Elite competition had only just begun, and no one could say for sure what sort of show would unfold in the future. Boom! The first match on the arena grew increasingly intense. The spectators did not expect the first match to be so exciting. Humph, if this is all you've got, then I'm sorry to tell you that you can scram now. The Thunder Martial House's Du Fei sternly shouted. Lingyun Academy's Lu Qian was not to be outdone, coldly mocking, don't be happy too early, or else you won't even know how you died. Don't flaunt the power of words. Hur! As soon as Du Fei finished speaking, the true Yuan within his body was completely mobilized. A scorching wave of air caused the surrounding air to faintly tremble, and a vigorous corporeal flame lingered on his arm. The restless and powerful energy undulations caused one's heart to palpitate. Lu Qian's eyes also focused, and he similarly released his true Yuan without holding back. In the blink of an eye, an azure wind blade over 2 meters wide immediately condensed in front of Lu Qian. A biting cold murderous aura spread out, and the chaotic airflow and scorching wave of air enveloped more than half of the arena. You can't beat me, admit defeat. An idiot like you dares to say such words. Whoosh whoosh. In the next instant, the wind blade that seemed to be a solid blade immediately swept out, and with the momentum of cutting through everything, it attacked Du Fei who was in front of him. Almost at the same time, the move that Du Fei had condensed was also launched. Hurro! A powerful aura stirred the airflow in all directions, and restless flames rose. A ferocious fire python quickly took shape, and directly shot out from Du Fei's arm. The wind blade was swift and fierce, and its momentum was rapid. The fire python was ferocious and intimidating. Boom! A violent sound immediately exploded on the arena, and a scorching ball of fire soared into the sky. The disorderly wind blades scattered in all directions. 2 different colors of light spread out, and in an especially fierce collision, countless people below the arena frowned, and their faces revealed cautious expressions. In particular, the new geniuses of the Thunder Martial House and Lingyun Academy could not help but stand up. Boom! The ground suddenly trembled, and a circle of green and red intersecting air waves surged out from the arena. The powerful shock waves spread out like ripples on the surface of the water. Du Fei and Lu Gan, who were on the arena, could not dodge in time, and were both thrown to the ground by the violent force. Bang! Bang! The sound of the 2 landing almost overlapped. Du Fei and Lu Gan both held their chests with their hands, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Moreover, it was difficult for them to climb back up from the ground. Both sides were injured, and there was no clear victor. Immediately, there was a commotion below the arena. Is it a draw? It seems so. That's not surprising. Both of their strengths are about the same. The first match between the Thunder Martial House and Lingyun Academy ended in a draw. Although the result was unexpected for many people, the intensity and excitement of the battle made most of them exclaim in satisfaction. The 2 academies each sent people to help Du Fei and Lu Gan off the arena. Immediately after, a young man dressed in black with an eagle emblem on his arm jumped onto the arena. It's Ching Deng from the Falcon Martial House. He's also a genius newcomer at the peak of the channel opening stage. If this continues, the newcomers below the channel opening stage won't be able to participate in the martial competition. It's better if there's no need. This is the place where the top newcomers compete. The moment Ching Deng of the Falcon Martial House came onto the arena, he turned his provocative gaze towards the area at the edge of the arena. Hey, Tensei Prefecture, who dares to come up and fight with me, Ching Deng? Naming Heavenly Star was a blatant provocation. Immediately after, the entire square of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion burst into cheers with malicious intentions. Haha, I remember last year, the newcomers from Tensei Prefecture were beaten to a pulp by the Falcon Martial House. And at that time, the newcomers from the Falcon Martial House said that as long as the people from Tensei Prefecture dared to appear here, they would be beaten to death. Looks like the Falcon Martial House really didn't forget about this. Tensei Prefecture is going to be unlucky again. Almost everyone present had a look of schadenfreude on their faces. When a wall is down, everyone gives it a push. When a person is down, rocks fall into the well. This saying wasn't wrong. Persimmons only picked the soft ones to pinch. It seemed like they wouldn't rest until they saw Tensei Prefecture being trampled into dregs. Renchong of the Tifeng province had a cynical smile on his face. Yu looked on coldly from the side. She had some understanding of the history of Tensei Prefecture. To this day, everyone had long since treated the Heavenly Star Martial House as a joke. Yao clenched her small fists and pursed her red lips. Her big eyes were filled with worry as she looked at Chu Hen. According to the arrangement of the teams, it was obvious that the leader of the Tensei Prefecture was Chu Hen. No matter what happened next, Chu Hen would be the main target of Tensei Prefecture. What? No one from Tensei Prefecture dares to accept the challenge? Ching Deng pointed to the front in disdain. From the beginning, this Star Elite competition was filled with malice towards Tensei Prefecture. Even their seats were at the most remote corner. This was only the second round of competition, and the Falcon Martial House had already directly provoked them. This series of events caused the new students of Tensei Prefecture to be both angry and suffer a heavy blow. Since no one dares to accept the challenge, then what are you all still sitting here for? Hurry up and scram. Go back and wash up and sleep. Ha 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 ha. The entire audience burst into laughter. Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others all turned their gazes towards the calm Chu Hen. However, they saw that his face didn't have any fluctuations of emotion. His originally pitch-black eyes gradually became deep and cold. Scram your mother? Sleep your sister. Right at this moment, a ruffian's angry scolding instantly suppressed the atmosphere. Mu Feng pointed at Ching Deng, who was on the arena, and said, "Did you eat too much garlic this morning? Why is your mouth so smelly? Is this your home? Do you think you can scram just because you say so?" The sudden scolding directly caused the atmosphere of the audience to become abnormally strange. Ching Deng's face was flushed red, and he shouted in a deep voice, "Bastard, if you have the ability, then don't randomly bark below the arena. If you have the ability, then come up and fight me. Seeing that there isn't even a single person in your Tensei Prefecture who dares to stand up, why don't you just stay here to make up the numbers? Let me ask you, has anyone here ever seen a grandfather really beat up his grandson when he is not obedient?" As these words were spoken, the students of Tensei Prefecture immediately roared with laughter. "You're absolutely right, senior brother Mu Feng. Haha, that's right. No matter how unfilial a grandson is, a grandfather can't bear to hit him." The people of Falcon Martial House were so angry that their faces were flushed red. Ching Deng's lungs were about to explode. This is not the place to argue. If you have the ability, then come up and fight. Let me ask you again, who from Tensei Prefecture dares to fight? Senior brother Chu Hen, the people of Tensei Prefecture all turned to look at Chu Hen. Chu Hen slightly raised his eyelids, but before he moved, Li Hui said, "Senior brother Chu Hen can't fight so early, let me go." No, you're only at the 7th level of channel opening stage, you can't beat him. Zhou Lu said. I've already broken through. The family gave me an yuan bone pill, and I opened my 9th martial vein 3 days ago. That's still not enough. Zhou Lu shook her head. She knew that Qing Deng's strength had already reached the peak of the 9th level of channel opening stage. Li Hui, who had just broken through, was simply not his opponent. Chapter 65. Let me do it. Zhou Lu dissuaded Li Hui. But senior sister Zhou Lu, didn't you only open 8 martial veins before? Zhou Lu snorted coldly and replied with dissatisfaction. Even you have broken through to the 9th level of the channel opening realm. Do you think I will still be stagnant? Zhou Lu knew that Chu Hen was the central figure in this group from Tensei Prefecture. If he were to fight in the first battle, it would not be of much benefit to the Star Elite competition later on. You want to go? Chu Hen raised his eyes and looked at Zhou Lu as he said indifferently. Yes. No matter what, since I have already entered Heavenly Star, I am a member of Tensei Prefecture. No matter what, I should share a part of the responsibility. All the new students from Tensei Prefecture were startled. They could not help but clench their fists as their expressions changed. Sister, if you can't win, call your brother. Mu Feng said indifferently. The corner of Zhou Lu's mouth curled into a faint smile. She immediately walked towards the arena and leaped onto the stage like a nimble butterfly. It can't be. Letting a woman go up? This Tensei Prefecture is really getting worse year by year. They probably saw that senior brother Qing Deng doesn't hit women, so they want to use a honey trap. Ha 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 ha, don't make it a double loss. Senior brother Qing Deng, this little junior sister is not bad looking. Take her down, haha. Below the stage, the students from the various academies started to laugh with malicious intentions. Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute revealed an interested smile. It seems like Tensei Prefecture's luck has run out. They don't even have a worthy opponent. Are you looking down on women? Shu Shuero said indifferently. Yang Yute hurriedly stopped. Hee, I'm just joking. Junior sister Shu, don't take it seriously, don't take it seriously. Over at Tifeng Province, Ren Chong stroked his chin with his left hand and a cynical smile hung on his face. Hee, junior sister Yiyu, it seems like your previous pursuer is more timid than I imagined. They actually sent a woman on stage. His smiling words were filled with sarcasm. At the side, Yi Yao frowned slightly, looking slightly dissatisfied. Yi Yu, on the other hand, was calm and unperturbed. Why bring up the past? That's right. I promise you that a despicable person like him will never appear in your sight again. Ha 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 ha. Rin Chong's playful smile was filled with a heart-palpitating chill. Yi Yao couldn't help but clench her fists. Her heart was filled with unease. She had a feeling that something unusual would happen today. On the other hand, Liang Yiming, who was sitting on the other side, secretly shook his head. It seemed that Chu Hen was doomed today. He could only hope that the other party would stay below the stage. On the martial arena. Hee, this junior sister, you should go down. If I accidentally hurt you, it won't be good. Falcon Martial House's Qing Deng's eyes revealed a hint of pride. Stop putting on an act in front of this grandaunt. Die. Xing. The crisp sound of metal caused everyone's heartstrings to tremble. A light and beautiful sword appeared in Zhou Lu's hand. Zhou Lu held her sword and attacked. Streaks of sharp sword chi shot out like light and shadow, moving upward with the momentum. Hee, not bad. You have some skill. Qing Deng's face revealed a relaxed expression. Surging true essence was released and condensed between his hands. He used his bare hands to block Zhou Lu's sword. Senior sister Zhou Lu, you can do it. Teach him a lesson. Senior brother Qing Deng, go easy. Otherwise, it won't be good for you to be known as a bully. Haha, that's right. Tensei Prefecture and Falcon Martial House were both cheering for Zhou Lu and Qing Deng. However, it was clear that Falcon Martial House's momentum far surpassed Heavenly Star Martial House's. Not to mention the disparity in numbers, even their momentum was not on the same level. Zhou Lu's sword momentum was light and extremely fast. The dazzling sword light was like a flowing shadow, dazzling the eyes. Under her continuous attacks, her opponent, Ching Deng, actually began to switch from offense to defense. He retreated and dodged to meet his opponent. Senior sister Zhou Lu is good. Li Hui, who was below the stage, could not help but clench his fists and secretly applaud. If this continues, we will definitely win. The other new disciples also saw the hope of victory. I didn't expect this girl to have some tricks up her sleeve. Mu Feng sat with his legs crossed, with an indecent look. Chu Hen's eyes slightly narrowed. While he acknowledged the smoothness of Zhou Lu's swordsmanship, he did not think highly of her like the others. If Zhou Lu could maintain this state, she would naturally win. However, the problem was that she could not maintain this fast rhythm for a long time. Once her speed could not keep up, her opponent would instantly seize the opportunity to counterattack. Just as Chu Hen thought, after about half the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Zhou Lu's rhythm began to slow down. Hee, there's a flaw. Ching Deng smiled proudly. Taking advantage of the time when Zhou Lu had not yet recovered her strength, he sidestepped and dodged his opponent's stab. He turned his hand into a palm and slapped towards his opponent's waist. Senior sister, be careful. Li Hui shouted. Zhou Lu's pretty face changed slightly. She hurriedly retreated and dodged. At the same time, she brandished her sharp sword. 5 sword flowers burst out in a row and attacked her opponent's chest. In the process of moving, the 5 sword flowers arranged into a wreath. From afar it looked like a gorgeous winter plum blooming, full of cold and fierce aura. This attack was quite powerful. However, Ching Deng was already prepared. With a sneer, the surging quintessential qi rapidly gathered at the center of his palm. Along with a strong gust of wind, a ball of black light erupted from his palm. Screech, a loud and clear eagle cry reverberated from the stage. Ching Deng let out a loud shout and pushed out his palms. An eagle phantom suddenly appeared and rushed towards Zhou Lu with an unstoppable force. Boom! The collision of the true essence was like a thunderstorm. The 5 sword flowers that Zhou Lu had displayed were shattered in an instant, and countless fragments were wantonly fluttering in the air. In the next moment, the powerful attack that was comparable to a torrent directly hit Zhou Lu. Bang! A circle of chaotic true origin power swept out. Zhou Lu's delicate body trembled and directly fell on the platform. The sword in her hand fell to the ground, and a trace of red blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. The battle was over in an instant. Senior sister Li Hui and a few other students from Tensei Prefecture rushed to the platform to check on Zhou Lu's condition. I'm fine. Zhou Lu lightly covered her undulating chest. Her pretty face was faintly pale. Hee, junior sister, I haven't used my strength yet. Why did you fall? Ching Deng sneered with a playful face. You! Li Hui and the others glared at him angrily. Below the platform, the people from the various academies were gloating and laughing mockingly. You still want to participate in the Star Elite battle with this kind of standard? Hurry up and get lost. I advise you people from Tensei Prefecture not to come anymore. I strongly request the Sovereign Arrival Pavilion to cross off the name list of Tensei Prefecture. Chapter 66. What are you being so arrogant for? While the Heavenly Star Martial House was being ridiculed by countless people, Mu Feng had unknowingly leapt onto the stage. He pointed at Ching Deng, who was in front of him, and opened his mouth to curse. That little chicken Martial House guy, you actually hit a woman? Today, this handsome Feng is going to break your balls. Even the new students in Tensei Prefecture shook their heads when they heard the vulgarities. Not only did this fellow like to spout nonsense in front of his own people, he even spouted nonsense in such an occasion. It seemed that he really had a personality problem. The Falcon Martial House's Qing Deng sneered in disdain. He crossed his arms in front of him and looked at Mu Feng with disdain. I thought you only knew how to bark from below the stage. I didn't expect you to actually dare to come up on stage. You can take this opportunity to say a few more words, because I'm going to smash your mouth full of dog teeth with one punch. You unfilial son of a bitch, you dare to scold me? Do you have any manners? Manners? Upon hearing these two words, the people of the Heavenly Star Martial House were once again filled with black lines. Li Hui and the other rookies hurriedly helped Zhou Lu out of the arena. It was as though standing with Mu Feng for a few more seconds was embarrassing. Senior brother Mu Feng, take care. We'll go and cheer for you below the stage. Leave it to me. Mu Feng grinned. His maniacal smile unconsciously caused his opponent's hair to stand on end. Cut the crap. Senior brother Qing Deng, break this thing's teeth. Let him like to talk nonsense. Kill him. Everyone from the Falcon Martial House was cheering loudly, but the people from the Heavenly Star Martial House were much quieter. They had suffered one blow after another, and it had caused everyone's mood to become gloomy and frustrated. Chu Hen's eyes were filled with an inexplicable expectation. From the very beginning, Mu Feng had not revealed his true strength. Since he dared to step onto the arena, it meant that he was not afraid of Qing Deng, who was at the peak of the channel opening stage. It's about to begin. Pay attention, even I'm afraid of myself when I unleash my power, Mu Feng said as he stretched out his arms and legs, stretching his muscles and bones on the platform. Seeing his comical appearance, the new geniuses from the high-ranked martial houses all sneered. On the other hand, the people in Tensei Prefecture had completely lost hope. They all secretly thought that coming here tonight was simply a mistake. Qing Deng sneered and looked at Mu Feng, who was slowly approaching him, disapprovingly. What an idiot. It seems that only a bottom-tier place like Tensei Prefecture would want a fool like you. Mu Feng wasn't angry. When he was less than 5 meters away from the other party, he suddenly pointed to the sky. Wow. There was a naked woman. It's going to hit your head. Qing Deng was startled. He subconsciously looked up at the sky, but there was nothing. He instantly understood that he had been tricked, but when he shifted his gaze back, Mu Feng had already rushed in front of the other party. You fool, you actually fell for this? Before he finished speaking, Mu Feng raised his right leg and kicked Qing Deng's crotch. Bang! The dull sound caused the entire Monarch Arrival Pavilion to fall into silence. All the men immediately felt a chill run down their spines. Qing Deng's body was arched, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. His face instantly became distorted due to the pain, and he couldn't even speak. I said I would break your balls. Mu Feng's sinister smile was especially terrifying in Qing Deng's eyes. Qing Deng, who had been hit in his weak spot, felt his legs go weak, let alone condense true origin energy. Everyone below the arena was dumbfounded. Especially the people from Tensei Prefecture, the corners of their mouths could not help but twitch a few times. My goodness, I, Mu Feng, am really capable of doing such a thing. Moreover, he did it in front of so many people. At this moment, there was only one thought in the minds of the people from Tensei Prefecture, and that was to stay away from Mu Feng in the future. They absolutely had to keep their distance. I'll remember this. If you dare to provoke Tensei Prefecture again, this handsome Feng will tear down your nest, sleep with your wife, and beat up your mother. Get off the stage yourself, Mu Feng said as he flicked his hair in what he thought was a cool and unrestrained manner. Qing Deng was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. At this moment, he really wanted to drag Mu Feng off the stage and beat him up for half an hour. However, the pain caused by that kick was enough to make him completely lose the ability to fight in a short period of time. Helpless, Qing Deng could only suppress his anger and limp down from the stage in a dejected manner. Boom! In the next instant, The atmosphere in the arena exploded. F***ck, what is this? He's too shameless. Shameless thing, get off the stage. This is too despicable. Manager Yao, chase this kind of person out. All sorts of curses could be heard from all directions. The angry voices seemed to want to drown Mu Feng at any moment, especially the new disciples of the Falcon Martial House. One by one, they stood up from their seats, and all they wanted to do was to rush up to Mu Feng and beat him up. However, Mu Feng's skin was so thick that it could be said that it was invulnerable. He did not feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he said with a hint of dissatisfaction, "Can you guys be reasonable? Did the rules say that I can't use the ending of Descendants Kick? Moreover, this handsome Feng didn't really turn him into a woman. If he can't have children in the future, I'll just help him." Mu Feng had a self-righteous look on his face. Even the people from the Heavenly Star Martial House felt ashamed. This kind of despicable thing is just asking to be taught a lesson. A voice filled with disdain and ridicule rang out from the Bright Moon Martial House's area. Shortly after, a young man with a rather heroic aura steadily walked towards the arena in front of him. It's Senior He Xian. Senior He Xian is going to make a move. Looks like even he can't stand that despicable idiot. Sure enough, he has aroused public anger. Let's see how unlucky he is this time. He Xian's appearance caused the atmosphere in the arena to become a little more restless. One was He Xian and the other was He Chao. These two brothers were highly regarded and liked by the senior instructors of the Bright Moon Martial House. Under the gaze of the surrounding people, He Xian directly stepped onto the arena. At the same time, a sharp sword force was released from his body, and the dust particles on the arena were blown away. Elemental opening stage? He Xian's strength improves so quickly. Geniuses with the spiritual sword battle physique are indeed extraordinary. If that's the case, He Chao's strength must have improved greatly. The crowd discussed in low voices, and many people's gazes subconsciously turned to He Chao, who was still in the Bright Moon Martial House area. He Chao had a smile on his face, and he was pleased with himself. He glanced at the Tensei Prefecture's Chu Hen with a mocking gaze, and his eyes were full of contempt and disdain. Chu Hen's attention was on the arena. After 2 months, He Xian had actually broken through to the elemental opening stage. Coupled with the strength of the spiritual sword battle physique, this caused the people of the Tensei Prefecture to feel nervous for Mu Feng. Make your move. He Xian looked coldly at Mu Feng in front of him. Hey, are you trying to scare me? Mu Feng squinted his eyes and tilted his head, looking like he did not care about his opponent at all. If you don't make your move, then I'll make my move first. But don't blame me for not warning you. Once I make my move, you won't have any chance to counterattack. Ha 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 ha, you're bragging so much, aren't you afraid of killing yourself? You're courting death. A cold light flashed in He Xian's eyes. Together with the surging aura of the elemental opening stage, a sharp sword aura was released. In an instant, he rushed to the front of Mu Feng. One of his hands turned into a palm blade, and he slashed at Mu Feng's throat. The powerful true origin energy turned into a wisp of sword aura and attached to his palm blade. Such a sharp attack was not the least bit inferior to the sharp sword aura. Not good. Senior brother Mu Feng can't dodge it. Li Hui clenched his fists anxiously and frowned. He Xian's speed was so fast that it made people dumbfounded. However, Mu Feng stood still, unable to dodge. The people below the arena, who were waiting to see the Tensei Prefecture make a fool of themselves, looked at him with disdain. He would be finished in one move. Rumble, a ring of oppressive wind suddenly reverberated from the arena. The aura that He Xian emitted seemed to have hit an iron plate, and it was suddenly suppressed. The people below the arena could not help but narrow their eyes. The scene of Mu Feng being defeated in one move did not happen. They only saw He Xian's palm blade stop at a position less than 10 centimeters away from Mu Feng's neck. Mu Feng's left hand accurately grabbed He Xian's wrist, causing him to be unable to move. This is? He blocked it? Not only were the new and talented disciples of the various martial houses stunned, even the people of the Tensei prefecture revealed astonished expressions. Mu Feng was actually able to block the attack of He Xian, who was only at the first level of the elemental opening stage. Looking at Mu Feng's current expression, there was not a single trace of indecency. Between his firm brows, there was a sharp aura surging. I was wondering what kind of powerful person he was. So he's only at this level? Humph, don't be too proud. He Xian's eyebrows were tightly knitted together, and the flames of anger rose up. With a thought, surging true origin energy burst out, and fiercely shook off Mu Feng's arm. Then, he raised his palm and threw it towards Mu Feng's face. Mu Feng squinted his eyes slightly, and fearlessly raised his palm to meet the attack. Bang! The two palms collided with each other, and a circle of chaotic true essence power exploded. He Xian took a few steps back, and with a wave of his palm, a sharp 3-foot-long sword appeared in his hand. He immediately raised the sword and attacked fiercely, continuously attacking various vital points on Mu Feng's body. Mu Feng laughed coldly. As he dodged to the side, a restless white light quickly climbed up his right hand. Buzz buzz, in an instant, Mu Feng's right hand seemed to be soaked in the essence of the moonlight, and a thin white afterglow lingered around it. Mu Feng extended his index finger, and a condensed white light flew out from his fingertip.